Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome into the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. It is Tuesday afternoon. Mikey McNuggets, Tyvis Powell, G. Bush coming at you. We got a big show in store. We got Danny Cunningham from the Lockdown Cavs podcast coming in at 12:30. We're going to talk a little Cavs, a little Guardians, a little Browns today. Before the show started, we were just talking about the new version of the college football game. College Football 25 took over the world when it came out.
I think it comes out Monday, right? Next Monday?
No, I think the July 10th. I think it's 2 Mondays.
I thought it said the 7th.
Oh, it's coming out this month?
Yeah, it's coming out very soon.
Oh, I didn't think it was
next week for sure.
Maybe 7th is the early buy.
Maybe
the
that's
10th
what
is
it
the
is. Yeah.
official drop.
They had the deep dive, the trailers. They talked about the dynasty, the gameplay.
But G was saying he might be too good to play with regular humans in 25. He asked us to join a dynasty in 26, and now I don't even know if it sounds fun playing against a robot like G.
August 15th, or sorry, August 14th is when it comes out.
You know,
August 14th? Why did
no,
I
that's what it sounds like Madden.
That can't be
Yeah, no,
right.
I don't think that's
I'm
right.
telling you, I just looked at it the other day. I swear
it
it said
that look like
July.
Madden.
Oh, this is Madden. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's Madden.
Look at you.
Now, here's the problem, man. I have been going for the gaming community for a long time. And so I was in this nice little dynasty.
You was a gamer as a kid?
As a kid, I was the guy.
That's how I felt about Madden.
Yeah,
I used to beat everybody. I was
ranked in Madden.
Yeah.
When I was in
I don't know if I
my
was,
freshman year.
Like, what do you mean ranked? Like, where
when
were
you play
like
online,
head-to-head?
you
No,
get
I'm
that
saying, what was you ranked? Like, top 100?
No, went up to 500, and I was in like the 450s, which wasn't like that high, but that meant I played enough Madden to get actually ranked.
Yeah, I used to really. And Madden is not fun to me now. I played Madden yesterday. Listen, I played Madden yesterday for the first time in a while. And it was I played with Houston. The guy I played with Kansas City. So the very first play of the game, the guy throws the ball to Xavier Word, scores the touchdown. My first possession, I throw a pick six, so it's 14-0 off the rip. Do you know that I went on to score 26 unanswered points?
No, we would have had to shoot a clock on you.
Yeah, I just start.
We don't count that
Shoot
ball.
clock.
Yeah.
That's the thing. People can't stop the run in Madden. Like, everybody come out there with these pass. Honestly, if you just run the ball, a lot of people don't know how to stop it.
Don't tell my dad that, because that's the only way he wins. Is run the ball.
See?
Do you ever get on your TikTok? You guys have TikTok, right?
I don't use
Yes,
TikTok.
I'll
Or
be looking at it.
Instagram, whatever your algorithm is. Have you ever seen like the high stakes, high money like Madden championships?
Yes,
Where
I used to watch those.
Where it's not actually teams, it's like
It's the build,
Madden
it's the
Ultimate.
created team, Ultimate Team.
I think it was 2 years, maybe it was last year, maybe it was 2 years ago. The guy who won used Tressway, the punter, as his quarterback. Didn't throw a pass the entire tournament. And used all his money on offensive, all his points, whatever you used to get. I haven't played Madden in no joke, like 5-6 years.
Yeah, I ain't bought Madden in years.
All offensive linemen, all running backs, did not throw a single pass the entire tournament and won the $100,000 grand prize.
Run the ball.
Back in the day, man.
People cannot.
Run the damn ball,
People
right?
don't know how to stop the run. I don't know why they can't stop the run on the game, but people just don't know how to stop the run.
I used to win money. Like we were gamblers like when we was in high school. So all our we was betting we couldn't even get on the sticks if we wasn't bet 20.
That's a fact. And if you get
21, that's
21,
double.
it was always double. Yeah.
So I was making so much money, but it was messed up because I couldn't. I was like, I felt like a drug dealer. I felt like, where am I gonna embezzle this money? Because my mom is like,
what you doing? Well,
how you getting all this stuff?
Yeah.
So I used to carry this money in my bag and be like, all right, well, I start tricking at a young age. I was tricking at a young age. So I was tricking, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I would be like, hey man, listen, man, you might as well come on over here and you know what I'm saying? I got whatever you need at the lunch table. It's nothing. baby girl, go ahead and get you that extra pizza right there, the nuggets, man. You know what I'm saying? That's nothing. Oh, like so. Bryce, my brother used to be walking around like, this is crazy. This bag, I used to have this bag. It was a one-strap bag, and it was from Gap.
Did you ever fight your brothers over Madden or NBA 2K or something like that?
No, they knew. Listen, I could count on my hand how many times I done lost to my brothers. Like literally, like maybe might be 10 in my lifetime. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm Mario, you Luigi. You understand what that is. Like, you're not beating me. Now, my brother, he has this innate ability to really play any adventure, map, Tomb Raider, any sort of that. And he knows he's good at fighting games, too. Like, he knows all the combos or whatever the case may be. But in sports games, no, it's not happening. It's not happening.
In fighting games, I watched a clip of somebody playing Tekken. He hit the guy in the air and just shot this beam. The dude never hit the ground, so he never got a chance to.
Man, I hate.
I said that type of stuff would make me throw my controller and never play again.
One of my best friends from college, his name was Afro Pat. I'm sure you can guess why he's named Afro Pat.
You've told us before.
Yeah, that's wild. Every time I hear his name.
He was a Super Smash Brothers ringer. Like, one of those dudes that knew every move, every combo. If he hit you off the side of the map, you were never getting back on. Well, he used to play like 1v1, him versus me, but I would get 2 level 10 guys with me from the CPU.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter. And he would brag about it. I'm like, none of this is fun. Like, you're the only one who's enjoying this.
It's not fun.
Nobody liked playing with him, but he would force you to. We do as a drinking. We play like pregame, and we would turn it into a drinking game. And
man,
some bad nights take the Super Smash Bros.
Super Smash Brothers. They're now, man, I'm super lame. I watch like documentaries on video games with cults, like
the
Tetris,
Donkey Kong one?
Donkey Kong, the Tetris, Smash Brothers is big. Like Street. I still watch like Evo and Combo Breaker. Like I watch like Street Fighter 2 Hyper Edition or Turbo Edition, or I watch all these tournaments. Shout out to Sonic Fox, by the way.
Yeah.
Shout out to him.
They're making a college basketball game too, by the way.
You buying that?
It's not coming out until 28, but I will absolutely.
I'm getting all of them.
Will absolutely buy that.
Are you taking where you go?
I doubt they're not gonna have D3 schools. If you could create a school, I'll create a school.
NCAA football. I found a BW creative team and was able to play as BW, so I'm sure somebody will make it.
All the Emerson guys in the NBA onto a 2K college 28 team and lead us to a chip. So
Mike turned to me yesterday and goes, "There goes my winter." As soon as he saw the
at
announcement.
least it's 2 winners away, so I got plenty of time. Last thing before we dive into the show, is there a bad stigma around guys our age who game?
No,
it's different now. Like you got dudes like Justin Wong, who's like he's like well, if you don't know, he's a fighting game dude. He's like Marvel vs. Capcom. He's really good at. But now, like we grew up with the game, so we was the first generation really kind of with internet like that. So now we grew up with internet and video games, and it's like the generation of like people who listen to hip hop and rap. Like they was like, "Oh, this will never last. You'll have to get a job," and then now it's people that's like
streaming
60, like Jay-Z, that still rap, and then you'd be like, "Oh, that's just what it is." But for us,
no, as long because now you can monetize it. Back when you was a kid, they was like, "Why you playing all those video games? You can't make no money off video games." Nowadays, people stream and make a ton of money.
Rich,
games.
Super rich.
And then on top of that, if you're in a relationship, the woman actually will prefer the man to play the game versus the guy that's always out all the time.
I don't know about this.
That's a fact, bro.
Now, let me tell you about this.
Because they know exactly where you at. You right down there. If you was out in the street, you don't know what's going on.
I told my brother, I said, my wife is foreign. I said, now, when I was in college and when I was playing, and I'd have been married, all women hate the game.
They do.
When are we going? Why are you still playing? I thought you just played another game. Didn't you play this team already? Who is this dude online? I thought you was online. Why is the internet slow? Because you in the game. They ask all these questions, and every time they ask them questions, it's a pick, a fumble, a strip, a knockdown pass. They run off 25 straight, and then you just turn around and just say, "Would you just shut up a minute? Would you just shut up for 2 seconds? I'm getting waxed because of you." The other guy on the headset laughing. You suck. And you know what? He's probably half your age. He's 13, and he's running it up on you.
He ain't even 13, bro. He's 7.
He's 7, running it up on you, and it's disrespectful, and your wife won't stop talking to you. She said, hey, what you want to eat today? I'm not hungry.
Yeah, I bought. We got Bree an Xbox 2 Christmases ago. I think she games more than I do at this point.
See?
We spent all Saturday just playing Pokemon and Xbox.
My wife get on the Call of Duty every now and again.
I gotta get Call of Duty when it comes back. They're making a new one, right?
Yeah, Black Ops 7.
Oh my god, I'm old. I remember playing Black Ops 2 in high school. Like that was.
It's the sequel to Black Ops 2, like the direct sequel.
Oh, for real?
Yeah,
Then I'm
this
in.
one.
All right, speaking of
let's
getting
do
into
it.
stuff, let's get
do
into the
it,
show.
Mike.
And
You
what's
ready?
our first read of the day?
All right, guys. Speaking of games, have you ever checked your bank account and wondered where all your money went? No, I do that a lot. Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery, especially that DoorDash. Now, I budget smarter and I save even more. So take control with your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year.
We just got a big free agent signing. Miles Turner headed to the Milwaukee Bucks, which means Giannis probably now staying put. We're going to talk about all the free agency stuff in a little bit, but that was a stunner to
Crazy.
start the show. We're going to start with the Browns, though, and some interesting words from a recent Kay Cabot column regarding one Deshaun Watson. First and foremost, let's bring everyone up to speed on where Deshaun Watson currently stands in his rehab process from his torn Achilles last season. Deshaun is going to start the season on the PUP list, which means at a minimum, he is guaranteed to miss the first 4 weeks of the season. He cannot be activated in weeks 1, 2, 3, or 4. After that, a 5-week window opens for Deshaun to be cleared to practice if, once again, he's cleared by doctors. So after week 4, between weeks 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, Deshaun can start practicing. Once he starts practicing, then there is a 21-day window for the Browns to officially add him to the active roster. So that is the official Deshaun Watson timeline. If the Browns maximize that timeline, Deshaun could, in theory, and it's a big could and a big in theory, return to practice somewhere in late November, early December, if they maximize that timeline. They take the full 5 weeks, they take the full 21 days. However, Kay Cabot spoke to a league source who told Kay that Deshaun could be back on the practice field earlier if Ant wants to take the quote here. Kay said in her most recent article, quote, one league source said Watson, who was suspended 11 games by the NFL in 2022 after accusations by more than 24 therapists of sexual misconduct, could be ready to practice sometime in October. But it remains to be seen if the Browns would open the window that soon, roughly 9 months post-op. We'll get to the other part of the quote, which is in terms of Deshaun Watson mentoring the young rookie quarterbacks. But real quick, guys, you've torn your Achilles before. You've had lower body injuries. Tyvis, you've dealt with lower body injuries too in the NFL. 9 months, an October window, that'd be a really soon activation by the Browns for a player starting the season on the PUP list. Do you see that being even realistic?
No. There's no reason for it. I mean, that's the thing. Like, the thing is this. Deshaun Watson, I don't think the Cleveland Browns plan on having him on the roster. I give you next season, maybe past that. I don't think he'll continue to be on the roster. So with that being said, the Browns have already told you, Jimmy has already told you it was a mistake. So they're already shifting gears to try to figure out, to pivot who's going to be the next quarterback. I don't see what service it would give you if he comes back and plays this season. That's not doing him no good. That's not doing the Browns no good, because the Browns clearly are moving on. And for him, all you're doing is risking messing it up again. So what's the rush? Just sit there, take the year off. I mean, you've done it multiple times anyway, so just take the year off, get your mind right, and when next year comes around, if the Browns continue to still have you on the roster, you get ready to compete. Maybe preseason comes around, you're still on the roster, show that you can still throw the ball. I think you're doing a decent job right now trying to change the perception or the stigma around your name by still being in the building, still trying to be around guys. And I think somebody will give you an opportunity, maybe on a tryout basis.
G?
Yeah, this is easy money. Listen, let's get real. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. Listen, man. This is people trying to keep your name out there. Mm-hmm. This is, hey, let me hear. Hey, you heard about Deshaun? He got a team too. Like, he got people, he got agents, he got different people, and the way this game works. After I saw the collusion story, that's all I needed. Because G. Bush, I felt I was completely vindicated. I was telling y'all about this collusion stuff for years, and it's the Duke and knee jerk. Well, my knee jerks is firmly planted on solid ground right now, and I got stilts on, straightened knees. I said, bro, I tell you, this is all part of the game, man. They told Jimmy, hey, you go out there and you apologize for that Deshaun Watson thing. Go ahead and apologize. He apologized. He said, all right, cool. They was like, cool, we apologize. All right now. Now we understand. Now, hey, Baltimore. Yeah, come on. You might want to go ahead and plea bargain. Deshaun got 11 games. Justin Tucker going to get 10. But how this is going to work is we're going to do this behind closed doors. We don't want the arbiter or anything. Just go ahead and say what you did. You get the 10. Keep it pushing. We don't know no problems. The council already got that together. Now, they done reached out to Deshaun Watson and said, listen, we're not going to get you up out of here. What we're going to do is we'll put some things out, and you mentor, and you get back in rehab and put some positivity and spin it. We'll give you an opportunity. Somebody else in the league will give you a shot. If you do all of the right things as we monitor you, still with the Cleveland Browns. So Deshaun Watson in Cleveland is not going to rock the boat. He's not going to say nothing crazy. He's going to say, yo, this is part of what the league has mandated. I will mentor. Because guess what? I still want to play after that. If he does all of those things correctly, they will give him an opportunity to land somewhere with another 32 members of the council. That's what it's called now. It's not the NFL, it's the council. The council has already met and decided what's going to happen. He's not playing for the Cleveland Browns no more. This is all part of the plan. And this is this is the optics of it. This is just showing, hey, I'm a good soldier. I'm going to try to rehabilitate my image and hopefully get another opportunity to play somewhere else.
I'll address the timeline in 1 second, but I want to make something abundantly clear first. Steve, give me the camera. I'm pulling a Tyvis. Give me the camera. If the Browns make a quarterback change at the end of October and November and go from Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett to Deshaun Watson, instead of Shedeur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel, I will pop both blood vessels in my eyes like Bull did 18 months ago when he was complaining about the Cavs not trading for DeJounte Murray. That's how outrageous of a move it would be by the Cleveland Browns organization, coaching staff, front office, ownership group, everyone involved, to go from Flacco and Pickett to Deshaun Watson in a year where you have to figure out whether or not you have a rookie quarterback who can be the captain of your team, the captain of your franchise moving forward. That's first and foremost. I'll put the glasses back on.
There you go.
Okay. For the timeline, you guys are right. Why rush it? Like, what's the point?
I don't get it.
And also, didn't Deshaun re-tear his Achilles?
Yeah.
So 9 months, October, would be a year from the initial tear, or it would be at 12 months from the initial tear, 9 months from the re-tear. Like, what's the point of rushing it? This whole season is about finding out whether or not Shedeur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel is the guy moving forward. You know, I hope Deshaun makes a full recovery. I hope when he gets a chance to prove himself on the field again, he is healthy enough to go out there and do so. But what benefit is it to Cleveland to give him this shot this year? So I just don't see the point at all to potentially rushing this along, where A, it puts him at a higher risk of re-injuring the Achilles, and if he re-tears it again, it's done forever no matter what. Like, you're not coming back from 3 Achilles tears. And I just can't fathom any world where Cleveland, where Stefanski, where Berry, where even Jimmy Haslam at this point, who's come out and said, hey, hand up, my bad, guys, that was a bad deal. I shouldn't have given that. Shouldn't have made that move, or shouldn't have allowed the Browns to facilitate that move, however you want to parse out the blame and whose decision it was to get Deshaun. To where they play him now over the 2 rookie quarterbacks they just drafted. It just makes no sense to me.
Come on, Tyvis. They listen.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is if you do activate him, maybe you just want him to have some practice reps.
But who does that benefit?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
it benefits him, but
he'd be your scout team QB.
Then great. But that's a practice squad guy. He's not on the 53-man
As far as
roster.
him marching out there on the field, I don't understand why would we do that.
Well, let's get to the second part of what Mary Kay said, because that leads into kind of what you just alluded to. Mary Kay, in that same article, mentioned that Deshaun's taken on a bit of a mentorship role to some of the younger quarterbacks in the quarterback room. This is from that same article. Mary Kay said, quote, "In the meantime, sources say Watson has been an awesome teammate inside the quarterback room and meeting rooms and has been a great cheerleader for the 4 quarterbacks vying for the starting job in Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dillon Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders. He's been especially helpful to the rookies in Gabriel and Sanders, who are working overtime to remain in the starting mix." If you remember, Dillon Gabriel also said during OTAs, when asked about what Deshaun has done and what he's meant to him so far, he said Deshaun's stayed after, helped watch film with them, helped kind of teach them some certain things that maybe they wouldn't have picked up on their own. So, G, are you kind of in favor of Deshaun taking on a mentor role now that he's unable to actually practice while he recovers from this Achilles injury?
This is hilarious. For me, when people be talking, I'm gonna just let Tyvis. I defer to him on this because they on G Bush. You be over the top on everything. You just listen. This is par for the course. This is par for the course, man. A lot of times you'll hear people on Twitter or Brown's Twitter that'll joke and say, "Oh, stay away from massage parlors." You're not a funny guy. You do funny dad jokes. You're not funny. There's people that don't be funny. I'm like, bro, at the end of the day, this is what happens in locker rooms. You get people that are veterans. You get people that pull you aside and teach you anything. This is a note for anybody out there. So a lot of people stagnated in the spot that they from right now. They ain't never gonna move nowhere and do nothing because y'all's mindset is backwards. You can learn something from anybody. A child can say something, and you can pick that up and be like, dang, that was insightful. Mm-hmm. You could get something from your enemy. Sometimes your enemy, your worst enemy, give you some game. Or you can just watch certain people and be like, man, I don't really agree with that person. I don't know about the moral compass, but he did right here X, Y, and Z pertaining to this job. Man, I could learn a lot from that person. And whether we know it or not, Deshaun Watson knows mentally the game of football at a higher level at this point than Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, probably combined. And that's not a knock on their knowledge. It's just to say that he has experience. He's been there. He's done that. And more than anything, he can tell you what not to do.
That's a fact.
He can say, hey, listen, hey, check out what I just did right there. See how I was talking to the media? Or this is how, look, watch out for the media on this case. Watch out for them on this case. Watch out, don't do this. I put myself in this situation. I put myself here, there. Listen, as you get to be more mature and you understand, you can really gain and wrap your mind around certain things and say, listen, you just want to give somebody else an opportunity. There's people in jail right now. I go talk to the prisons all the time. I talk to kids that's in juvenile delinquent centers. I talk to kids that's growing up that may be in schools or whatever. And I'm always talking to them. And the one thing that they always say, there could be some people that's doing life sentences. You know what they say? Hey, I got to make myself, I know I'm not going to get an opportunity to get up out of here. I know I'm not going to get the chance to really do some of the things on the outside, but what I can do is I can really devote my life and have some purpose to show other people, hey, this is what you do, not to do, and then really like mentor people so they can understand. And to be truthful, I'm gonna take it from you because I can see your consequences in real time.
Yeah.
Like it's different coming from somebody that got a regular job or a dude walking the street that don't know the game. Guess what? He worked it, lived it in real time. And Tyvis, I think that happens in locker rooms a lot. People just don't speak about it because that's the code. Like you do stuff in silence, bro.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you know what's going on. You know the situation. You don't really got to speak on that. However, for Deshaun, it worked like this. This is kind of how when I was playing. This is how it worked for me. If you see a young dude or a young player, and you like, you know what? That dude got some talent. Let me show you something.
Kind of nice.
Come here, let me show you something. Let me tweak your game a little bit. You know, and I think that's kind of what Deshaun has done when he's seen Dillon and Shedeur. So where it's like, you know what? I see the talent. Like you balling. Like, are you doing your thing? Let me take you. Let me show you a couple of things how you could be better. You know, maybe, you know, Kevin Stefanski is saying this. Let me break the terminology down to you so you can pick it up faster. This means that. When you hear this is what that means. Like y'all called it this in Colorado or Oregon. This is what we call it here. It's the same thing, but we call it this. Like that's, and on top of that, Deshaun ain't playing right now. So like the only satisfaction that he gets is how can I make an impact on this team if I'm not playing? The best thing to do is to do it through these young guys. If these young guys go out there and ball and take something I said to be successful, that's almost as good as me going out there and making a play. So I think that's what he's doing. He's finding newfound motivation of trying to help this organization or help this team by trying to essentially live through the young guys right now. Because you don't need to tell Kenny Pickett nothing. You don't need to tell Joe Flacco nothing. Those guys got all the experience in the world. But it's hard some days being a rookie, man. When you got that coach on you and you feel like you can't get nothing right, you hit that rookie wall, you need that vet to come help you and get you up out of that spot. I hit it early. In Seattle.
And Sherm was your guy.
And Cam saved my life. Cam, Earl, and Sherm all was like, bro, listen. You need to chill out. You got to do this, and that. And it helped me get through those things. And for Deshaun, I think that's what he's doing right now. He's being a good vet.
I go back to, like, what else he's supposed to do? He's out there. I think
just sit there and watch practice all day? No, you got to put your input into it.
I think he understands the circumstances he's in right now. Like, I can't play. I'm not coming back till at earliest late October. Like, let me help these guys. Let me try and give them some wisdom that I've learned over my 6-7 years in the NFL. Even if the last couple of years haven't gone my way, and I don't think Deshaun at the moment when he had been playing trusted his eyes, trusted his feet, trusted his arm. But the mindset and the stuff that he had done previously, I would hope is still there, that he can relate to these young guys. And also I go back to, because I saw a lot of people online being like, I don't want Deshaun anywhere near these guys teaching him anything. Like, I go back to Maurice Claret, who at this point is one of the most successful motivational speakers in the entire country. He's going around all over the country, professional teams, collegiate teams. He's tight with the UConn men's basketball team. Him and Dan Hurley are like this now. He got a ring. Yeah. He talks to Fortune 500 companies. Part of what makes Maurice Claret such a successful, inspirational speaker is he hit rock bottom. And you can learn a lot when you hit rock bottom. And I don't know exactly what Deshaun did or did not learn from his career kind of bottoming out here, hitting rock bottom in Cleveland with all the off-field stuff compiled onto the on-field lack of success. But sometimes you got to hit those levels to be able to learn what it takes to rise out of it.
Yeah.
And once again, I have no idea what Deshaun's telling Dylan and Shedeur. I have no idea. But I have to imagine there's some life advice, good and bad, that he can impart on those guys on top of the football stuff. And if he's not practicing, why not? If those two choose not to listen to him because they're like, I saw what you did in Cleveland, look at those numbers for what you were getting paid, like, I think I'm better than you already and I don't trust you, then that's their choice. But I'd rather have the quarterback be willing to help impart that wisdom than a guy who's standoffish and doesn't want anything to do with the young guys.
The fact of the matter is this. No matter what he is right now, at one point in time,
he was an all-pro quarterback.
He was one of the best quarterbacks.
An all-pro quarterback.
That's crazy.
This man went toe-to-toe with a lot of good quarterbacks back when he was in his prime. And you know who else was watching that?
Those
Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel. So all they're going to do is be like, man,
how was Gabriel?
Worse, you're going to be like, hey, man, tell me about your time at Houston. Like, what you do, like, blah, 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 blah.
How old's Gabriel? He's 24, right?
Yeah. I think
Which means he was born in 2001-ish, which means in 2017 when Deshaun was a rookie, Dylan was 16-ish. Yeah. So when Deshaun was winning championships at Clemson, Dylan was in high school.
Yes.
So you're telling me that, and same with Shedeur. I think Shedeur is 1 year younger, but the time frame still lines up. You tell me those two don't remember the glory days of Deshaun Watson as well? Like, of course they do.
These guys, I give an analogy. Sometimes this is the problem with sometimes with fans, and I used to get frustrated about it, but then I just realized it's just part of human nature. Fans don't understand how much more advanced professional athletes are when it comes to knowing and understanding the game than they are.
Yeah.
It's almost like a baby who can't talk, that's gibberish, that's trying to tell a grown person who got to go to work at 8 in the morning that hey, you should drive slower.
Yeah.
You're like, what? Like that was an example off the top of my head, but it doesn't make sense. Like the knowledge and the vast gap between the athleticism, the conviction, the knowledge, just understanding, just being able to do that and at that level. These are the top 1% at the game, Tyvis. The top one. If you ever touch down on one of them fields and you made it to the league, they are in the top 1% in the general population.
I don't even think it's 1%, by the way.
It's like half of that.
It's half a percent.
It's like 0.5%. Yeah. It's almost, and then it's like, you had Isaac Newton at one point in time. He was really smart, right? Mm-hmm. And then they were like, oh, just because Einstein came along and disproved some of the things Newton said, does that mean Isaac Newton's stupid?
Nope.
No. Then after Einstein came around, it was Stephen Hawking. Just because he wasn't Einstein, does that mean Stephen Hawking is trash? No. It means that there's levels to this thing, and right now you can take anything and add that to your game and be able to transform yourself quicker. Like, I don't want to go through the same stuff he did. Deshaun Watson could pull up the tape from last year and be like, listen, I was staring down this receiver. This was the play call. I was supposed to be looking backside. He wasn't even in the route. I thought I could sneak it in here, but that's the reason you can't sneak it in there. And then I can learn from that rather than going out there and having to do the same thing he did. Yeah. It's just sometimes people don't be understanding how the game works.
The fact of the matter is everybody has their opinion of Deshaun, and this fan base is so upset at how he set back this franchise. You know, he was supposed to be this piece that's going to take us over to the over the top. Yeah. And when everything went down the way it went down, and how last season just crumbled and burned, everybody has this thing where it's like, we done with him. Like, anything with him, I don't even care.
Yeah, I
don't want to see him Cleveland Brown nothing. And people have made their stamp in that to where he's still getting paid, and people are like, well, I'd rather him just stay away. Okay, to do what? Like, he can still teach. Like, I think G is 100% right of all the things that he's saying, that everybody's saying up here. Like, yeah, I could be at home chilling and not doing nothing. Then you'd be mad and like, oh, look, he just collected a check. He doesn't care. So it's always going to be something when it comes to him. But I think he's doing a really good job of doing his rehab and still trying to keep the mind fresh. Just keep the mind around the game, because when your mind, once that mind go, it's done. Just come on and we can pull this chair right here. You can come on this panel and you could be a contributor on the UCSS. But now,
I've heard of podcasts.
What? You don't want him on the show?
I'd love for Deshaun to come on the show.
See?
That'd be wild.
The first question, what were you thinking when you was
All right, Ant. Let's get a read and get to our next topic.
That's why
I'm going to remind everybody about our friends at Buckeye State Credit Union. If you hadn't heard of them yet, meet your new favorite financial partner. Buckeye State Credit Union is a local institution offering everything from checking accounts to home equity lines of credit and auto loans with some of the lowest rates in Northeast Ohio. The Cleveland branch is in Shaker Heights, which is one of 5 locations across the state, making it super easy to find one near you. And if you can't get to a branch, no problem. They make banking super simple through digital banking. What sets them apart? They make banking personal and convenient. At Buckeye, their focus is you. Their core values, connect, simply, adapt, guide everything that they do. They bring people together, they cut through the clutter, and they're innovative. To learn more, visit buckeyecu.org. Buckeye State Credit Union, your money simplified.
All right, guys, let's talk a little Cavs. Later in the show, we're going to recap all the free agency chaos that's happening right now. We got Danny Cunningham coming on later. But we're going to start with the most pressing news out of the Cleveland Cavaliers world right now, and that is the fact that Ty Jerome is no longer a member of the Cavs. He signed a 3-year, $28 million deal with the Memphis Grizzlies yesterday. When you look at that deal compared to Sam Merrill's deal, Merrill got 4 years, Jerome got 3. Merrill got $38 million, Ty got $28, which puts an annual average value at Merrill's contract at $9.5 million per year. Ty Jerome's at $9.3 million per year. In a million years, when the regular season ended, I never would have anticipated this outcome, where Merrill got more years, more overall money, and a higher annual average value than Ty Jerome. But that is the world we are currently living in. Ty, I said Ty. I was thinking Ty Jerome. But how big of a loss is Ty Jerome for this Cavaliers team? And with the pieces they've brought in, can they make up that production lost by Ty?
What pieces they brought in?
Lonzo and Proctor really are the two that you have that you didn't have previously.
See, what's wrong with him? Anyways, the way I look at it is this. Like, I think that they value. Clearly, the NBA is about shooting threes. And if you got a knockdown shooter, which Sam Merrill took strides this year. I mean, I know we always criticize him for defense, but it was times, not this season, but last season, where he would just completely disappear. And this year, he was a guy that consistently came in and hit those big-time shots in those big spots. So I think that they value that. Ty Jerome, he was a spark plug. I wonder how much of it also is he didn't want to re-sign with Cleveland. You know, maybe he wanted to go elsewhere as well. But the Ty Jerome and the playoff thing really just kind of showed lights. You know, in the biggest moments, you know, we couldn't depend on you. You know, there was at times where we couldn't even really put you in the game. And I think that that's why this team is thinking about, we got to get away from that. We got to find guys that we know at worst can do something. It can't just be the Donovan show. We have to get people that can come in and help and at least give us something. And I think Ty Jerome not doing that in this playoffs cost him a lot of money. I don't think the relationship with the Cavs or anything like that, I don't think that's soured or anything like that. I just think that maybe he wanted a fresh start. You know, you go to Memphis, you know, they just traded Desmond Bane. You know, maybe he can work his way into being a two guard, maybe, but he'll get a lot of playing time. John Morant can't stop doing gun animation, so he might get suspended. He might be the starting guard there. So I think that factored into it as well. But I think he maybe just wanted a new scenery. And I think that Memphis is a great place for that. But I never thought that Sam Merrill would get more money than him. I thought that Ty Jerome was more of a more complete basketball player than Sam Merrill. So that one did confuse me.
G, I got a bunch of thoughts. Can I go first? And then I want you to answer.
Go ahead, bro. Don't steal my thought.
I
don't
have
steal
a couple. No, I got a couple ideas before we get to the issue with the Cavs bench now.
Okay, don't go there. I know he's gonna steal it.
No.
Go ahead.
So I think when I look at this whole situation in the big picture,
he's a Cavs apologist.
No.
I know go ahead. I already know. I got the crystal ball.
A hypothesis. I don't know if this is just speculation. A hypothesis, complete hypothesis, not reporting. My gut tells me that the Cavs, with all things being equal, would have preferred to keep Ty Jerome over Sam Merrill, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
All things being equal. I think, and I'm guessing, I'm speculating, that the Cavs went to Ty Jerome with the same offer they gave Sam Merrill and said, Ty, 4 for 38, 9.5 average annual value. This is what we think we can afford to pay. This is what Dan's willing to pay in the tax. Take it or leave it. And Ty may have said, I get more than that. The mid-tax.
It's a strong possibility.
The non-taxpayer mid-level exception is $14 million. I'm getting one of those contracts. Mm-hmm. Thank you, but no thank you. When he said no, the Cavs then pivoted, gave Sam that kind of contract, made the Lonzo Ball trade. The Lonzo Ball trade came first, then the Sam Merrill contract.
Put the ball down.
And Ty thought on the open market in free agency, he'd be able to get a deal along those lines, higher than $10 million a year. And then as we've seen, as this free agent market's played out, that middle class doesn't exist anymore. We see dudes getting big contracts, and we see dudes getting contracts for $10 million and less. And Ty thought he'd be in that bigger contract pool, when in reality his market, and I guessed wrong. I texted y'all. I thought he was going to get 13 to 16. After seeing the Sam contract, he ends up at 9.3. And I think if the Cavs, and if Ty, more specifically Ty, had known, hey, my market ain't going to be what I think it's going to be, he would have taken that initial deal. Because it's more money, it's more guaranteed money, and it's a higher average. It wasn't even a shorter deal we can get out of it. It's more.
So now that it's chalk, how do you feel about it?
I want you to go first because I got some thoughts on the bench now.
Okay.
Did I take your point?
No, but that was a really good one. That was good. That was good.
I can see where that definitely probably could have happened.
I went back. I don't know why I did research for this show. Maybe because I don't know what for. Like, I don't know why this research.
Because wait a minute. Because that's what Steve pays us to do.
Right. I don't know why I did research at this level for this, but something told me to go back, so I went back.
Yeah, man.
And I remember Kenny Atkinson when they talked about Ty Jerome, and every time Ty Jerome would ball, Kenny Atkinson wasn't at some point, he was never like, that's Ty. What are you talking about? He's nice. He's dead nice. Like, he's been doing this. Like, that's his game. He kept talking about, I mean, yeah, like, you know, the floater thing. And at one point, he was making 60-some% of his floaters. And
called him Steph?
Yeah, like, how is he, like, he walks into these big shots, comes off the bench, like, and Kenny's kind of like, yeah, like, you know, you kind of sit there and you're just like, wow, I didn't, you know, he didn't expect none of that. Problem is this, man. I never saw the commitment level to it, right? And I looked at it, and when they got rid of Imani Bates, right, guess what I thought? I said, oh.
That clip did numbers, by the way.
Oh, it did?
It did.
Oh, okay, here's what happened. Y'all like people who play in structure. See, from a basketball standpoint, that looked good. Ty Jerome, that looked great. Like, I'm up here, I'm picking and rolling. But guess what? If that's not falling, you're in trouble. Imani Bates, I think he can play. He hit 7, 8, 10 threes in a row. But if that's not falling, what we doing? And on top of it, if you look at everybody else on the court, and you look at the difference between Sam Merrill and why he got the bag, is because Sam Merrill plays in structure. You ain't never going to ask, what the heck was that? Or, that was a bad shot, Sam. And then when you try to elevate his defense, it was like, that ain't even a crazy mismatch no more because he playing hard defensively. They said, you know what? We can't change our teams that big on the, you know, in terms of the core four. But on the margins, if we got this little pool of money, Sam Merrill is the best of both worlds. He may not be the playmaker that Ty Jerome is that can work off the pick and roll and do those things. He may not be 6'9" and can shoot, you know, from half court and be a tough shot maker off the dribble. But guess what? I know where he's going to be. He plays hard defensively. He can still knock down threes. He's the mid version of both of those guys. So then you say, okay, you get rid of Isaac Okoro, who is a non-shooter. And then you can bring in a ball handler like Lonzo Ball that covers up for Sam Merrill's deficiencies. Now we got a guy who's athletic, that can dribble and do those things that Sam doesn't do. I think the Cavs value people who play in structure because two of their best players play out of structure.
There's some validity to that. But pull up the Cavs depth chart real quick, 272. When you look at their depth chart now, basically, you got your point guards, you got Darius, you got Lonzo, you got Craig Porter Jr. The shooting guard position, Donovan, Merrill, Proctor, Hunter, Strus, Tyson, Mobley, Wade, and Allen's your one center. It doesn't include the two-ways. They have Travers and Naquan Tomlinson on the two-ways. Outside of Donovan and Darius, how many of those guys are really creators for not only themselves but for others at this point? You could say Lonzo when healthy.
Yeah.
But it's a giant when healthy. He's averaged 17 and a half games.
Who
per game
creates
or
for
season.
themselves?
And others. Outside of that.
Well,
that's the one.
Nobody's creating for others.
Donovan can do it.
DeAndre Hunter.
Outside of Donovan and Darius. I'm saying on the bench. And that's part of the reason.
Oh, on the bench.
On the bench. And that's part of the reason why I thought if in a vacuum it was all equal, it was a no-brainer Ty over Sam because he gave you an element of something off the bench that you just really don't have. I mean, maybe you move Hunter to the starting lineup and Strus becomes your primary bench creator, but like that's not Strus' strength. Lonzo. He's best at coming off. Lonzo can do that if healthy. But once again, he's played 70 games total in the last 4 seasons.
Yeah, that's wild.
He could be healthy. He may not be healthy. I said yesterday I want the Cavs to utilize him like the Thunder utilized Alex Caruso in the regular season. Don't play him in back-to-backs. Play him about half the games, which gives you the other half of the games where maybe your best bench creator now isn't active because he needs to be healthy for the playoffs. Jerome gave the Cavs, and to your point, G, he doesn't necessarily play in system. Like, he was a freelance guy. But how many times last year did we come in the next day after a game and say, the Cavs don't win that game without Ty Jerome because he went crazy. And I like Sam Merrill a lot. Like, Sam's my guy. I think of all the guys in the Cavs, like, me and Sam, we sat down, did a one-on-one interview. We said I kind of look like him.
Y'all got the same haircut,
yeah.
like everything.
How many times have we came in and say the Cavs won that game because Sam Merrill went crazy? Like, Sam's a good player in a system, but Ty had a chance to change games in a way I just don't think Sam does. And when you look at that contract they gave Sam, And good for Sam Merrill. He's now the highest paid 60th overall pick in the history of the NBA. Well-deserved. Congratulations.
How you feel about that, G?
What's that? He's getting $9.5 million. The Bucks just signed Gary Trent to a 2-year, $7.5 million deal.
That's wild.
Is Sam Merrill on a per-year basis 3 times better
Bucks
than Gary Trent?
Gary Trent?
Yeah, 2 years, 7.5. Maybe the Cavs miscalculated a little bit of how much a player like Sam Merrill, an in-structure shooter kind of guy, gets if that's the deal for Gary Trent. Listen, I'm happy for Sam. I don't think it's a bad deal. Anything under $10 million for a role player is the going rate. But if Gary Trent's getting 3.75 and Sam's getting 9.3, maybe that money could have been used better elsewhere. I don't know. I'm just asking the question.
You be around. You know a lot of scouts and dudes that be in the league and stuff. How much of it, when you're trying to sign somebody or you're re-signing somebody or giving a contract, is if either A, the coach, or the GM says, that's my guy?
A lot of it.
I think more than any other league in basketball.
But Ty Jerome was a Kobe Altman guy.
I know.
Kobe tried to trade up for him in the draft and draft him when he came out. He tried to trade for him previously in his career.
Is he a Kenny guy?
Wasn't he with Kenny with
Ty was with Kenny and
is he for me, I watch sometimes I watch the body language, right? Mm-hmm. Like, look, he don't like Max Strus. Kenny loves him. Kenny's like, oh no. We got Hunter, but we still started Max Strus. He loves him.
You ain't gonna never let that go.
No, I'm still not.
I think Hunter starts this year.
Oh well, hopefully. Hopefully, Kenny.
Well, I mean, the Ty Jerome, him and Ty off the bench is gone. So
that's a wrap. So you might as well shout out to. Hey, listen, I know Hunter.
They all gonna be gone anyway.
Hey, Hunter, I know you. Listen, you crying inside right now. Hunter is crying inside right now.
Ty had his best friend here too. Like they traded for his guy mid-season.
Hey, listen, call me. I got over the Imani Bates thing. Call me.
First of all,
you know what I'm saying. If you need me, talk to somebody.
Well, if what Mike said is true,
and I don't know, I'm just speculating.
No, I'm just speculating. If hypothetically speaking, if what Mike said is true, if they offered him that contract and he said no, if I'm Hunter, that's your fault.
I mean, listen, if that's his man's, he probably went to him like, hey, what you think I should do?
Because he should have been like, bro, I'm here. Why didn't you not take it?
So the other thing with that too, and it's worth pointing out that
he need to fire his agent because his agent should have told him.
That's part of it. But if my scenario is true, you got to remember that they signed Sam before the actual free agency period started. They re-signed Sam, which means in my hypothetical scenario, they may have offered Ty before that, which would have been before free agency. You could have illegal contact. Tampering with other teams is not supposed to happen before.
Yeah.
We all know it does. So I'm not sure what information Ty and his people were getting beforehand. But clearly, they just miscalculated the market in some way, shape,
and clearly they need to be fired.
Man, bro, here's what I'm going to do, man. This is negotiate. I might listen. Before I go tell these people over here this is what the bag I want, before I go tell them, I need that contract. I need my lawyer to look over that. I need that everything. I need that in ink that this is what you're going to offer me in case I say I'm not doing it over here. Yeah. Now, this is the crazy part about it. I've always said it's already easy to get a job when you got a job.
Yeah.
Like for Ty Jerome, he should have been like, well, let me look at this offer. How much if they was giving him the Sam Merrill bag, he has to look at it and say, okay, look, this may be a little lower than what I thought. But I need to take this and take a screenshot of this and figure out who was offering out here more than this.
The one thing with the Memphis deal, it is a year shorter, which means he could hit free agency a year sooner. So maybe he cashes out again if he can stay healthy and play like it. But the last thing I want to point out, because I know we got to get to the next topic here, Ant. Pull up the Cavs depth chart one more time with the bench. The Cavs banked a ton on internal development last season, right? They didn't make a major move. They kept the core four together. They ended up trading for Hunter. For the Cavs bench this year, you're banking on Craig Porter Jr. taking a legitimate step forward because, once again, I don't think you can count on Lonzo as an 82-game player. You're projecting Sam Merrill to add something to his game. He'll always be primarily a spot-up shooter, but add some sort of off-ball creation. You're banking on the internal development to bring in a Tyrese Proctor and have him ready to play a second-round pick to contribute at least something. You're banking on Jalen Tyson taking steps forward. If all those things happen, Cavs have a pretty darn good bench. But it's a lot of if those things happen that all have to align that makes their bench go from a superpower last year to an uncertainty entering this upcoming season.
They do some more moves.
They do.
They need some more moves. I don't want y'all to get confused. I know y'all got Okoro. Dean Wade, he's posted up, on the block. We need some more moves right there. That, to me, that's nice.
Minimowski.
I'm not comfortable going to next year like that.
We'll get to the other moves in the Eastern Conference and how some teams change the complexion of their rosters coming up at about 12:15. But Ant, we got another read. Got to talk a little NFL again before we pivot to some Guardians and the rest of the show with the Cavs.
Yeah, before we get to our next spot, I just want to remind everybody to go follow us on socials, on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We post all extra content there if you don't get enough in the 2-hour show here.
All right, Ant. ESPN put out a way too early 2026 NFL mock draft yesterday. It was Matt Miller in particular who put out this mock draft. And because of the person they had, Cleveland taking at number 1 overall, it caught Ant's eye. So according to Matt Miller and the way too early ESPN mock draft, the Cleveland Browns, with their own pick, would take Cade Klubnik, the quarterback out of Clemson, number 1 overall. And then with the number 12 pick, that's the pick they got from Jacksonville in the Travis Hunter for Mason Graham trade, they would take Caleb Lomu, the offensive tackle out of Utah. As soon as that graphic came on the screen, I saw G. Bush start shaking his head. I saw Tyvis drop his head. So, G,
why you hate Cade?
Way too early, but
no problem with Cade Klubnik.
Do you have any issue with the Browns being projected to take a quarterback at number 1, and any initial thoughts on Cade Klubnik?
Man, I've seen Cade Klubnik play. He's all right.
Pat last year?
Yeah. He all right.
Hey.
First half of the year, Minimowski.
He was much better later.
Second half of the year,
yes.
Second half of the year, he did his thing. When you look at him, people project his arm to be a Baker Mayfield arm. I'm like, okay, all right. Jay would love that.
Jay actually, real quick, Jay's gonna love this kid. He won 2 state championships in Texas at the same high school.
Yeah, at the same
high school as
Baker Mayfield.
There you go.
And he has one of them Texas names like Austin or Cade or
Cade Klubnik. He's from Austin.
Yeah, listen, he wears all kind of face paint on, right? Like he looked just like. Listen, it's one. And by the way, it's one of them Clemson quarterbacks. You just out there looking real nice and pretty.
So is Deshaun.
And it is.
It's not the same high school Baker went to. It's a rival high school to the one Baker.
But here's my thing. This is the crazy part about it is. I don't got a problem if you want to project a way too early mock draft, right? That's cool with me. But here's what I'm going to say, and I'm going to talk about this a little later on today too. I don't know. I'm going to have to call people out when they start. When you coming on the show and you want to fast forward and hit a fast forward button on this year, and you going to fast forward to get to talking. I'm not talking 2026 quarterbacks right now, and you won't evaluate the 2 you got.
Yeah.
Like, that's the dumbest thing in the world. Like, we sitting here, if you want to talk about 2026 quarterbacks, but if I ask you pinpoint why wouldn't you play these young rookies, and you got no, they don't, we're going to protect their souls, and we don't want them to get ruined, and we just bring them along slowly. But then you want to fast forward that and get all the way to 2026 when we don't know whether our GM can evaluate quarterbacks, if our coach can get a quarterback to play well, but you want to fast forward 2 picks that if you was going to just go with the 2026 mindset, why didn't you just say, look, play Flacco, play Pickett, stop playing the games, take your L's, tank, go get a quarterback next year. But you got cute. You used a 3rd round pick and a 5th round pick on quarterbacks that are young, traded up for them. Yeah. But now you want to argue with me about why they don't need reps. But you want to talk about another dudes next year. Y'all, that's corny. It's corny. It's the corniest thing I've ever heard. Like, this is it's like we done got to a point in the world where the only thing that matters is narratives. Like, what happens? What happened to putting it on the field? Like, what happened to what you do in the field count? It don't. They done already fast forwarded.
Who?
We talking about Cade Klubnik.
Well, this is ESPN.
This ain't.
No. People say this all the time. Jason told me yesterday that the quarterback was in next year's draft. I was here.
So G, you're saying the right things, but also that is just ESPN's mock draft. We are in the business of clicks. G, you are the king, and I say this with the utmost respect, of the immaculately worded YouTube headlines to make people click on it.
They're going to click on this one, too.
They are going, yeah, I did. I took one out of your book. I took one out of your book. I did. But ESPN and ESPN.com is also in the business of clicks. And what does clicks during the slowest time of the year when there is no football to talk about? Mock drafts for next year. So I understand why ESPN's putting out.
Yeah, I saw the Adam.
The reality is,
I just don't like the player they had up there.
The reality is, none of this matters.
Who had wanted them?
Hold on, because we're gonna get to that in a second. The reality is, none of this matters. It is a July 1st mock draft from ESPN before any games have been played, and until Shedeur or Gabriel show anything on the field, of course these mock drafts are going to have them taking a quarterback.
Man.
They took a dude in the 3rd and the 5th round, and they could have a top 10 pick, if not 2 top 10 picks next season. So, of course, these projections, until Gabriel or Shedeur prove them wrong, are going to have them taking a quarterback. I personally don't like Klubnik. I would go with another guy, which is why I wanted to get to that in a second. But
I don't like the guy at the top.
I have no issue, and I'm not going to get worked up over ESPN having the Browns taking a quarterback high in the draft until it's up to Shedeur and Dylan to prove them wrong.
I agree.
Not they're going to have to collapse, and if they don't pan out, they'll take either Dylan or Shedeur has to prove that they are the guy. But until they do that, this is how every mock, CBS, NFL.com, ESPN, Walter, you name it, they're all going to have the Browns taking quarterback.
It doesn't matter because the Browns aren't going to have the number 1 pick anyways. They're going 8-9 this season. So
wow. Well, what if the Jaguars go 4-13?
They still not going to be the Browns ain't getting the first pick in the draft.
Or I'll clip that just in case it happens.
If the
Browns will listen, the Browns will not pick. I said this already. I said the Browns won't pick top 5 this season. They won't have no picks in the top 5 unless they trade up for it.
If the Browns pick number 1, what they pick, Stefanski or Barry won't be here to take no quarterback.
That's what I was going to say right there. I'm glad you brought that up. You led me back to my train of thought.
Like, if you get so here's the thing. That would have meaned, like, just to extrapolate, you went 3 and something and probably 2 and something or 1 and something in back-to-back years. Mm-hmm. That is, we went 1 and 31 in 2 years.
Yeah.
This stint right here
is equivalent.
Is the equivalent of you in the middle of this game. You won 3. If you win 1 game next year, that means you won 4 and something. Yeah. And 2, you won't be here. I'm sorry.
If the Browns get the number 1 pick, they ain't gonna do nothing but trade down anyway.
Facts.
All right, real quick, just for the sake of this. Gee, if the Browns, let's take Arch Manning out of the equation. Okay. Of the other quarterbacks, do you have one in next year's class that you happen to prefer over the other?
I don't like. Listen, I don't know what people see in Drew Aller.
I'm with you. I'm out.
It's just like Drew Aller, Cade Klubnik, Lenoris, Sellers.
Now Sellers, I would say, is the highest version right now. I would take.
I like Nussmeier.
Now hold on. Let me stop this. Let me put the camera on me.
Oh man.
Under no circumstances am I saying that Lenoris Sellers is better than everybody else because he's a mobile quarterback, and that's a euphemism as a mobile black guy.
Cade Klubnik is
people. Hold on, you got to say that because they be like, you like Deshaun, you like Shedeur, and now you're like this Sellers kid. What's the problem?
Neither one of them is considered.
Sellers is dope. I listen. I think Arch Manning is pretty good. I got to see it more than 2 games. Yeah. So I'm just telling you that so y'all don't get in the comment section and be in your feelings. But I will say that Sellers, I watched him play against, was it Clemson? Go watch the Clemson game.
He played
where at Clemson.
He was really good.
And he just wheeled them down the field with throws and all that good stuff. He's 6'5". He's got all the pedigree. Like he big. Yeah. He can move. I like him. But I gotta see it first. You see what I'm saying? I gotta see it.
He only played 1 year.
He played 1 year.
Redshirt sophomore this upcoming season. I like Nussmeier of all the guys now.
Now I heard he went to the. I had to look at it. I heard he went to the Manning little passing camp and was balling.
He was there. Klubnik was there. Lenoris was there.
And
there's probably more. Those are the 3 I heard.
And by the way, there's going to be 2 dudes that we know nothing about.
Yep. That's a fact.
Yeah,
it's gonna be Fernando Mendoza.
Mendoza out of Indiana.
Yeah.
And the other kid I like
From Nebraska.
No. He was the
Cal
Cal
that's
quarterback.
Dylan Raiola.
Yeah, I like
He's not ready yet.
No,
he's only a sophomore.
Yeah, he'll be a sophomore.
The other dude I like though, John Mateer. He transferred to Oklahoma this year. He's got a cannon.
I got to look at him.
Yeah, he's got a cannon.
I got to look at
Oklahoma ain't had nothing.
I've been doing I got to get these evaluations off because I'll tell you what, some of these dudes, some of them they got up there. I'm like,
I don't see the Penn State coach.
I don't see it.
It's his size. He's like
and you work for the big you work for the Big Ten Network.
Hey, I told you, I've been saying it for 2 years that I don't see it.
Every time he plays Ohio State,
It's just
Nothing.
and their defense did a good job holding Ohio State in check this year. They just needed like one
Nothing.
play.
He did nothing.
I go back to the Notre Dame game in the college football playoff. Like one play. Nothing.
I gotta ask this question: How many games will you be satisfied with? Because here's what's gonna come down to. Let's fast forward this crap. This is what's gonna happen. Let's get real. There's going to come a point in time where either Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders are going to play. Mm-hmm. The elephant in the room is they got these picks and probably they want a quarterback, right? So here's the thing. How many games does these dudes have to play to have a fair evaluation for you to say, okay, I've seen what I needed to see. Let's go ahead and get this quarterback. How many? Is there a minimum?
I can't answer that question because I'm on the panel Thursday.
And on Thursday, we're going to do the topic. I texted Tyvis, I texted Jason, texted Bull, tune in. But I asked them, what do they think? No. It's a great topic.
Waited me out.
But no.
No, I thought I was. I'm on Wednesday.
Yeah,
I thought I was.
But no, here's what we're doing on Thursday. I asked all of them for how many games they think the max Dylan or Shedeur could play.
All right.
I averaged it down. I'm not going to give you the whole shebang, but I took the average of all three of them and went back and found about 15 historical examples of quarterbacks through that many games to see if we made an evaluation on player X in a blind resume style through that many games, would you have said this could be our guy or not? And then I'm going to reveal it.
He said, see how he saved that money maker? He had this topic set out like it was the first day of school.
He sent it out Monday.
Well, we're making some special graphics for it.
It might have been Sunday.
I sent it Monday.
They got it laid out like this. This the outfit. Yeah, I'm wearing this with this.
I still have to do a mock-up for it.
Oh, they got the money. Yeah. This dude, listen, this one. See what I'm saying? Chat, they be waiting me out.
You won't be on the panel Thursday. You can answer your
question.
I'm going to be tuned in. I'm going to be in the chat. I'm pulling up in the chat.
We'll
I'm in the chat.
G, you can call in for that segment. We'll have G call in for that segment.
My thing.
Put Jason Lloyd on the phone.
my thing is this though, and this is a strong point that you have brought up, is that if they can't get right, if Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur look like absolute trash when they go in there, which I pray that's not the case, but if they look like absolute trash,
drafting a quarterback.
I do not trust them to draft a quarterback.
I agree too.
Y'all had multiple chances to get. The only quarterback that was taken was Cam and Jackson Dart. Y'all had multiple chances to get any other quarterback.
That's another thing, McNuggets.
And y'all kept punting on it. So and then you took Dylan Gabriel around to 2 rounds earlier than he was even projected to go to say that, hey, this is the guy that we want. So I'm glad you did it because now I'm going to look at him with a fine-tooth comb and be like, y'all can't evaluate quarterback. That's what that will tell me because this is the guy that you chose to get early.
You traded Travis Hunter for him. This is the guy. The guy who they get next year better be coming in on a white donkey.
No, the person that they get next year better not be selected by anybody that has anything to do with these two quarterbacks. And with their 3rd round and 5th round picks, I hear all that.
Man.
So was Brock Purdy, and he looked good when he was out there. So what are you saying? Tom Brady, when he got his opportunity, 6th round pick, he figured it out. So I ain't really hearing it no more. I'm sorry.
I think we're all in agreement on that. If it's a bad season,
like if they are just trash,
they got to clean house.
Come on, man. And sometimes it's not always the Johns and the Joes. It's the X's and the O's. And y'all done flipped the whole offensive staff. Y'all done changed everything. But it's only 2 consistent people that's been there through all of this in 6 seasons, 7 seasons. What?
Hey, let's be clear.
Kevin.
Let's be clear.
Jimmy, Kevin, Andrew, and Depot.
How many games Deshaun Watson play last year?
He got hurt in week 6.
So that means he played, what, 6 games?
5.5.
He played 5.5 games.
Yeah.
How many games is in the schedule?
17.
So if I do basic rudimentary math,
It's about a third.
he played a third of the season. That means you got 12 games. Where what did you do?
Who did we have? Oh, DTR.
Jameis, DTR.
Jameis, DTR.
What?
And what's the guy that finished?
Bailey Zappi.
Bailey Zappi.
What did you do when you had 12 whole games?
Yeah. It's
Then
fair.
you walked up and said, I no longer want to put my hands on this playbook. Here you go. Boy, you kind of funny. Y'all good. Y'all good, boy. Y'all.
I'm just calling it like it is. Like
We will
you
be
gotta
keeping
real
them
about this.
accountable to the utmost extent this year. I have no doubt about that. And we got to talk some Guardians, but first, a word from Monarch
Yeah,
Money.
first before Guardians, guys, I want to remind everybody about Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account? Wonder where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track, and that's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery, and now I'm able to budget smarter and save more. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year.
So yesterday we asked the question to Jay, G, and Jason if this was rock bottom for the Guardians after being swept by the St. Louis Cardinals and getting shut out in 2 of the 3 games. Tyvis, you were not here yesterday when we had that discussion, so I want to ask you this question first. Is it time for Cleveland to wave the white flag on their 2025 campaign?
No, as crazy as that sounds, no. Because I
agree.
I think they only, 2.5 games?
3 out of the wild.
3 out of the wild card. That's the thing. The division, that's not happening. They're not winning the division. That race is done. But the fact that they are still right there within that wild card spot, you can't waive it yet. Now, you get 6-7 games out of that wild card spot, now we can tell a different story. But I think as bad as they've been playing, and as much as I really just want to just turn the page on this season, they still got something to fight for. They still got an opportunity to make the postseason. I don't think they're going to, but I still think that that's not a reason to wave the white flag just quite yet. So that's my thought.
Well, technically, he is right.
Thank you.
Technically, they still have an opportunity at a wild card, and they have an opportunity to try to make the postseason and figure some things out. Hey, they got Shane Bieber. Looks like he's going to be coming back. Maybe they can get some guys to get a little healthier. But for me, I just look at this team and I say it all depends on what you think that the real root word of contending means.
They're not winning the World Series.
If it's going to the wild card and you just want to go out there and enjoy the sun, and June, July is hot, they got a nice fan experience, hang out, fireworks, dollar dogs, drink beer, hang out with the missus and the kids and take pictures. That's great. It's great entertainment. But if you're a hardcore baseball fan, a Cleveland Indians fan, that you remember what the Indians were like, you remember that era, it gets harder and harder to sit there and internalize it, because we're going to get to play the big boys. And when the big boys come to town, we know what this looked like. We've seen the Yankees multiple times. We see how difficult it is to play perfect baseball, have to string together 5-6 hits and with a lineup that's inept a little bit. I just look at it like this, man. And for the longest, Jay said something yesterday. He talked about how it is to be a Guardians fan, because he's feeling like he's apathetic at this point. I asked him, and I proposed a question. I said, listen, they are running a business with no staple. Like you're a steakhouse. You got to compete with all these other places and steakhouses are high end. You can't come in here serving these medium steaks. You got to have choice cuts if you want to be with the Mortons and the Flemings and all this Delmonico's. But then they tell you, but listen, it's still steak. It ain't the top of the price. It ain't top of the food chain, but just keep coming back and supporting. Nah, don't work that way. People gonna find other things to do. I'm gonna lock in over here. I get a steak at home for what you doing. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I just think it's hard because guess what? They refuse to keep building their business around things that people want to see, and that's players.
If the Guardians were in the National League, yeah, it'd be time to wave the white flag. But because they're in the American League, despite being 2 games under 500, to Tyvis' earlier point, they're only 3 games out of the wild card. And unlike other sports, we have seen teams just squeeze their way into the playoffs, catch fire at the right time, and ride the wave. Mm-hmm. Do I think the way the Guardians are constructed and the way they currently are playing baseball can win a World Series? No, I don't. I don't think you can win playing small ball. But being 3 games out with 70-something games to play is too small of a margin to wave the white flag. However, look at their upcoming schedule. The next 9 games, 3 on the road against the Chicago Cubs, who are a very good baseball team, including tonight against Matthew Boyd, an old friend of the program, who is pitching out of his mind this year for the Cubs. Then they're home against Detroit, who leads the American League and wins, and then they head down to Houston, who's one of the hottest teams in baseball right now. As of today, July 1st, it is too early to wave the white flag on the Guardians season. But we come back in on July 10th after that 9-game stretch, 9 straight days of baseball against high-quality opponents, and this standings for the American League Central could look a whole lot different, and their place in the wild card could look a whole lot different. 3 games in the baseball season with 70 to play in a not-so-good American League where the teams that you're trying to chase and the teams you're competing with, frankly, aren't that good either, is too small of a gap to completely throw in the towel for this season. But I think it's teetering. And I think they're on the fringe of getting to a point where it's like, guys, what are we trying to accomplish and what can we realistically accomplish with the guys in this clubhouse? And if it doesn't work, I think it's at a point when it is time to wave the white flag if they get to that this season where Chris Antonetti down has to evaluate not only how they develop hitters more than anything else, but all these guys that we've invested so much time in, kind of blow it up and start over.
You know, I was talking to this guy while I was down at the JR Memorial, this Buckeye cancer event, and we was talking about the Guardians. It was actually the day that they was playing the Cardinals. They was up like 5-1, and then
they blew the 5-run lead.
Yeah, it was that day, and we were sitting there talking about the Guardians, and the guy was like, he brought up something that was it was an interesting point. You know, he was like, you know what? When they traded Josh Naylor, they don't realize what they really did to that club. And I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, well, Josh Naylor, when you look at everybody on that team, nobody really got nothing to him. You know, Josh Naylor was like their emotional thing. Like, he go out there and hit a big play, and it just sparked everything. You know, he rocked the baby on the Yankees. Like, they don't have that fiery guy anymore. And I was sitting there like, Then I thought about Jimenez. It's like, man, Jimenez on defense, he'd make an incredible play. And if you've ever played sports, whether you make the play or somebody else make the play, it just turn you up. Like when you be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe he just made that play like that. Like they don't have that either on the and now the fielding is looking terrible. So it's crazy to me that I think they might have misevaluated how important those two guys were. I know we get on them on Jimenez for the hitting, and we go on maybe Naylor for the inconsistencies, but man, it looked better than what it looked like now.
Jimenez has been terrible at Toronto.
For
what it's worth, he's been objectively horrific.
Defensively. That's why I said when he make a play defensively, I ain't say nothing about the hitting stuff.
You combine Naylor and Jimenez into one player, you're looking at an MVP kind of candidate.
Yeah.
You know, you mentioned that, and I do think there's something to be said about that. When you come off a nice run last year, you got a lot of confidence in Stephen Vogt. You won series in the playoffs. You know what I mean? You're feeling good about yourself going into the offseason. And then the first thing you do is you take two of the pieces that got you there and say, okay, we can plug and play anybody in here. And what that tells other people is everybody's expendable. Everybody's expendable, right? And it makes you think like, wow, like, does the organization believe in the group of guys that we got? Because even if we play and overachieve, they're still moving guys in and out of it because it's money. And it's kind of difficult to deal with that when you're a team and you're looking to try to win when you got guys you know that you're not going to get a contract.
I will say this, and we'll put a bow on it with this. The Guardians have been at this precipice of like, is the season over? I think this is the third time already this year.
We asked.
And the first 2 times that they've been in that situation, they've ended up going 500 basically in that 17-game gauntlet, and they won 6 in a row after the first time. So the Guardians have been in this situation. They've had their backs against the wall. They've seemingly played their best baseball in those circumstances. So hopefully they can turn it around because it's going to be a long summer if they can't, guys. Speaking of long summers and chaotic summers, Ant, we got to do one more read and get to our next topic, which involves some free agency movement in the NBA.
Yeah, guys, I just want to remind everybody for the Guardians game Friday, it is on WKYC against the Tigers starting at 7 p.m., so make sure you tune in. Our upstairs channel has it, and you're going to want to watch it on WKYC.
Fireworks and Guardians baseball, name a better combo, guys. All right, since the show started, literally since we have been on the air, the Milwaukee Bucks have made at least 2 incredibly noteworthy moves. They signed Miles Turner, the center from the Indiana Pacers, who spent his first 10 years of his career in Indiana, helping lead them to the NBA Finals this season, to a 4-year, $107 million deal. In part to do this, they had to waive Damian Lillard, who had 3 years, $313 million left on his contract. Lillard, 35 years old, is expected to miss the entire season, coming off an Achilles injury, and then they'd have to pay him $40-ish million as a 36 and 37-year-old. The Jimmy Haslam factor in Milwaukee certainly helps pay for that, to spread out and give him that money up front. Some other Eastern Conference moves that have made other teams better. The Knicks signed Jordan Clarkson. They don't have a head coach, but they continue to make offseason moves.
They got Jordan Clarkson.
They signed Jordan Clarkson last night. The Hawks got Nickeil Walker-Alexander and Luke Kennard to add to their staple of wings. The Magic are losing a couple guys in free agency, but they obviously made the big Desmond Bane trade earlier. The Bucks also re-signed Gary Trent and Taurean Prince. There's been so much movement in the Eastern Conference that the latest FanDuel odds have shifted to the point where the Cavs are no longer the favorites in the East. The New York Knicks, despite not having a coach, have actually surpassed Cleveland. As of this morning, the Knicks were plus 280 to win the East. The Cavs plus 310, the Magic plus 390, and the Hawks plus 950. So, Tyvis, when you see all these moves happening, these teams in the East getting better, some getting worse, do you still think the Cavs are the favorites now that we've seen some of these newly assembled rosters in New York, Orlando, Atlanta, and Milwaukee?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what the difference between the Cavs and the Hawks and Orlando and Miami and all those other teams?
What?
They have chemistry already. They've already played together. All these other guys have to figure it out. Don't get me wrong. There's been many success stories of guys making trades in the offseason. They got this entire offseason to hoop together and get that chemistry. But eternally, the Cavs got the same players essentially starting, same system, same coach, same guys. And, by the way, you've seen all the success that it had. So I think that from that standpoint, I would definitely continue to have the Cavs as the favorite. But the Hawks and Orlando and Knicks and all those teams, they're close. They're right there on you. It's not like they're just going to roll out and let you just take it. We know at the beginning of last season, the Hawks gave the Cavs problems with their length. Oh, they were just so tall. So if that's the case.
They got taller and longer.
Exactly. So if that's the case and that's what the Cavs are going to struggle with, then, yeah, that ultimately become a problem. But until then, I'd still get the Cavs to favorite. I'd let the Cavs be the favorite.
G.
I was stuck for a minute because I thought I seen Travis Kelce got traded to the Nuggets, but it was Jonas Valanciunas
You see the
that got
CH.
traded to the Nuggets.
For Dario Saric.
Man. Let me ask y'all a question. The Cavs lost to the Knicks. How many games the Cavs win in the playoffs a couple of years?
1.
2 years ago?
Yeah. 4-1, right?
It was 4-1.
Knicks is a better team than that team, right?
Knicks is a better team than the Cavs team?
No, Knicks was a better team now than they were back then when they beat them 4-1.
Yes.
Cavs is a little better too, I will say that.
Yes.
The Knicks went to
They don't have a coach right now.
they'll get one. I think basketball coaches are, if you ain't got a football coach, you're done. If you ain't got a basketball coach,
you're done.
You're done, but you can
you're
you
done.
can figure some things out. You can get one. They'll get one.
There's a big
street
difference
ball.
in levels of
Yes.
playoff coaching.
And we turn the roster.
We can't give Rick Carlisle all that credit for
he's
doing what he did in Indiana.
At the highest level, it matters.
Like, you know what? It actually doesn't matter.
At the highest level, it does matter. But the Knicks did go to the Eastern Conference Finals, right?
Yep. They did.
And they lost to the Pacers. How many games did they win? 3?
2.
Okay. So the Knicks have been farther than the Cavs in every single year. To them, they're knocking at the door way louder.
No, they didn't go last year.
Not last year. I think they all bowed out in the same round.
Knicks lost to Indiana last year in the playoffs.
Cavs lost to Baltimore.
Pacers lost to the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. They both lost in the Eastern Conference semis.
I thought the Knicks beat the Celtics.
No, that was this year.
This year. That's what I'm saying.
No, we talking about last year.
No. This year, I was talking about this year.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Knicks feel like they knocking on the door. They feel like we're there. We got Cat. We'll figure it out. Bridges was first year. Cat was first year. They needed to work it. Anunoby was in and out of the lineup. Jalen Brunson, obviously, he was banged up a little bit. They feel like they on the cusp of it. And then I'm like, dang, I got Jordan Clarkson too. From roster standpoint,
it's a good move. Clarkson's a good move.
Very good move. Mm-hmm. Roster standpoint, I like the Knicks roster. We'll figure out what they're doing as a head coach. But for me, I got the Cavs somewhere in that 2 range, but I still need more moves. I want some more stuff.
What if the Cavs start Hunter?
I would like to start lineup better. I'm a 2K type dude. I would like to start lineup, but I still need some other stuff.
You got Merrill, Lonzo, and Strus coming off the bench.
I need some size.
They do need another big.
They definitely need
some size.
I do think their backup
Mitchell
center.
Robinson is their backup center for the
Knicks? Yeah. Even though I think he'll start and they'll put Cat at the 4.
Man, I can't keep saying that.
I actually like that matchup better. If Jared Allen can hang with Mitchell Robinson,
he can.
That's not a good matchup. That's a bad matchup.
He can't.
If he not get punked,
it's already been decided.
I'm just saying.
He can't.
If he don't get punked, then it'll work.
It'll
work. If he don't get punked, it'll work.
That individual matchup's tough.
It's sad.
It's tough.
It's the only thing that I actually got.
Mitchell Robinson might be the best offensive rebounder in basketball. That dude's an absolute freak when it comes to getting the ball.
Another person that's a good rebounder that nobody talks about. He's actually a former Cav.
Josh Hart.
Andre Drummond.
Great rebounder.
Josh Hart destroys the Cavs too.
Yeah, he's
bullies
the
killer. Get out of here.
When you look at the East, Atlanta got good. Now they're banking on Kristaps Porzingis being healthy, which, by the way, we still have not gotten any real information on why he missed the majority of the second half of last season.
Yeah.
Some sort of weird injury, illness.
I don't know.
I have no clue.
He was
Boston people, usually when you trade a guy, it comes out like, oh, yeah, by the way, the reason he didn't play was X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
We haven't even got that story, which scares me because they're making a gigantic leap of faith that he'll be healthy. But if he's healthy, if you could put alongside Trae Young, who, you know I'm not a fan of Trae Young, but this is the perfect lineup around Trae Young. Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson.
And Jalen Johnson was a monster before he got hurt.
Walker Alexander, Risa-Shea, who was the number 1 overall pick.
How did he do this year?
Solid. Not great, but solid.
Well, I mean,
it was a smaller rookie class, not a great rookie class. So they got better. The Magic got better.
Usually those number 1
the
picks
Knicks got
take
better.
off in a year or two.
But at the end of the day, it's still the Cavs. Oh, we forgot to get the mic. Here comes Ant to get the mic. It's all good. What's up, Ant? The Cavs still have, and there's Earl. What up? I didn't see her. I just saw Ant walk that way. I didn't see Earl pop out from behind the glass. No, listen. The Cavs, I do think, as we mentioned earlier with the Ty Jerome discussion, are slightly worse now than they were a week ago. Losing Ty Jerome, I do think, is a downgrade for the Cavs roster.
Yes.
Other teams have gotten better. The odds right now between the Knicks and the Cavs on FanDuel, it's plus 280 versus plus 310. It's basically the same. I still think the Cavs have a move to make, and I think they can turn one of the excess of wings. They have an excess of 2s and 3s now and a lack of bigs. I think there's a move, and I don't know what it is. I'll concoct it for you at some point this week, G. I'm not going to do it without you, I promise. But there is some sort of move to get another big in there. But I think a lot of people out talking Cavs basketball who are determined to bring in just a backup big for the sake of a backup big, I think the lack of creators and ball handlers now is a bigger issue than just having a backup center.
Yeah, I think the Cavs got a little more robotic. Mm-hmm. They got I look at their lineup. Like if I'm playing the Cavs, I'm like, he ain't about to come out here and just give us no buckets. Like they got to play a certain way. I think, and then the thing too, you got to realize, I mean, Darius Garland's going to be out to when? December?
If it goes as long as we talk about Deshaun, the full timeline.
Yeah.
If it takes as long as they say it could, and then they're extra cautious.
And then there's no setbacks. There's no pain, no swelling, no like we just I like it's just one of them things. It's like I consider that is look, he's not when you get injured that like you have off-season injuries and the fact that the off-season is very, very, very short. For basketball, it seems like it's like 2 days, and then they back to practicing in September for camp. I just naturally assume that the way the Cavs handle things, and they're on the cautious side. They're not going to risk. They're not going to push him out there. So you're going to get Darius Garland. Then you got to talk about the conditioning because he's not going to be running and jumping and doing anything.
He's going to have 3 months at minimum in the regular season. At minimum,
he'll
work his way back.
He'll work his way back into
setback. I'm not too worried.
Working his way back into it at the end of the season. So for me, we talked about the chemistry. I need them to be playing a cohesive type of way then.
Yeah.
Because I need them to gel so that they understand that, okay, when we bring Darius back in, it ain't a culture shock like, oh, Darius got the ball down. Like,
couple other moves that are not Cavs related, but the Rockets signed Dorian Finney-Smith. Signed
Rockets.
Clint Capella. They have a roster full of long, athletic, talented wings, and now they have a 3-center rotation of Şengün, Steven Adams, and Clint Capella. They can play a totally different style depending on the matchup. And the Nuggets, who just traded for Jonas Valanciunas, also traded Michael Porter Jr. and a future unprotected first-round pick in 2032 to the Nets for Cam Johnson, a guy we had spoken a ton about in the past. Cam Johnson with Jokic is going to be an absolutely perfect fit.
Better three-point shooter,
fit.
less streaky than Porter.
Oh, no, MPJ had like some type of shoulder thing.
At the end of the season, he had a shoulder injury. But he's a sniper when he's healthy.
And he get them rebounds.
He got a back. He's
got some legit injury history.
Now, here's what I'm going to say about these.
And his brother's in jail, and the other one's banned from the NBA.
That's wild. How you that? Well, I don't know.
I don't want to speak on that.
He got to drop. He got to keep the thing straight for the. He got to hold it down for the family.
Yeah. I'll tell you this.
It's not a max deal. I mean, he's got plenty of money.
He got to hold it down.
Man,
it's a great trade for the Nuggets. Like Cam Johnson's one of those guys. When they traded for Aaron Gordon a couple of years ago, Aaron Gordon was miscast in Orlando. He was solid but not great. Goes to Denver, plays with Jokic, finds this new role that now every team is trying to essentially find their version of it. Aaron Gordon. I think Cam Johnson, who was awesome with Phoenix on their their NBA Finals run a couple of years ago.
6-man though?
Yeah, but he's not a star. Like Cam Johnson's not a leading guy.
He's a real good glue.
He's an elite role player.
Yeah,
and when he's around and surrounded by guys like Jokic who can generate open shots for him and he can just do what he's needed to do and not asked to do too much, he's going to thrive in that role.
Rockets got good quick.
So the Nuggets going to be in it for the West?
No.
I think they're the third best team in the West.
I think the Rockets could beat the Oklahoma City Thunder.
They got some guys that have to step up.
When you got Şengün, you got KD.
Van Vliet.
I like Van Vliet. They got Amen Thompson.
Smith.
And these dudes is going to be out there moving around guarding all the. See, KD ain't elite defensively no more, but the fact that they got all these goons at center is messed up. Because Şengün plays low-key dirty. They still got Steven Adams.
Strongest dude in the league.
The strongest. Listen, he's Aquaman. And they just keep. I'm like, bro,
You forgot some of the wings. They still have Tari Eason, Jabari Smith Jr., Cam Whitmore.
And they got a good coach.
And by the way, they also drafted Reed Shepherd 3rd overall last year, who didn't play at all as a rookie, who's now going to get an opportunity to step in and take some shots because Jalen Green's in Phoenix, excuse me. That team got quick, fast. That GM's Rod Stone, their general manager. He's been on a heater. But the NBA is certainly changing. Last thing with the Bucks. We mentioned the Miles Turner move. They're stretching Dame Lillard over 3 years, buying him out. Do you think Miles Turner's enough to keep Giannis happy?
No,
keep him in Milwaukee?
Because Chris Hayes just reported that Giannis is mad about it. I just seen that. There it is.
Well,
all right then. I holler at y'all. Hallelujah, holla back.
Fire up the ESPN trade machine.
Hey, listen, hey, man.
The Cavs, it would take 15 loops for the Cavs to get Giannis.
You already know I'm looking at you inside your face. I was looking at
you. Is it possible?
Like this.
Take 15 moves.
Possible, yes. Is it incredibly difficult? Also, yes.
So if the Cavs got Giannis.
Hey, bring me another dude in here to talk about impossible trades. Come on now. Get him hooked up. I want to talk impossible Cavs trades.
We got Danny Cunningham from Locked On Cavs and Tua Reed will bring
him in here as I remind you guys about Buckeye State Credit Union. If you haven't heard of them yet, meet your new favorite financial partner. Buckeye State Credit Union is a local institution offering everything from checking accounts to home equity lines of credit and auto loans with some of the lowest rates in Northeast Ohio. Their Cleveland branch is in Shaker Heights, which is one of 5 locations in the state, making it super easy to find one near you. And if you can't get to a branch, no problem. They make it super easy through digital banking. What sets them apart? They make banking personal and convenient. At Buckeye, their focus is you. Their core values, connect, simply, adapt, guide everything that they do. They bring people together, cut through the clutter, and are innovative. To learn more, visit buckeyecu.org. Buckeye State Credit Union. Your money simplified.
All right, we got Danny Cunningham from the Locked On Cavs podcast joining us now. Danny, no one believes me when I try to tell them that the trade machine doesn't work in real life and there are a million hoops to jump through.
It's a little more complicated.
It is. So will you tell them what I've been trying to tell them, that a Giannis deal technically is possible, but about 3,000 things would have to happen before then to make it feasible?
A lot of stuff would have to happen. I think that what the Cavs have done so far this offseason, like in committing more money elsewhere, makes it tougher to do, right? Like signing Sam Merrill and already trading Isaac Okoro's contract, because I think you look at that as, okay, that's $11 million that could be part of that deal that they need to get off of anyways that you could utilize. Well, now that is already accounted for. That's already gone. So it is incredibly difficult to, like, it's fun to fantasize about. Giannis in a Cavs uniform would be awesome. Like, he's a great, one of the greatest players ever, but it's not something I would expect to happen. I know that he's now reportedly unhappy that they cut Damian Lillard after he tore his Achilles in the playoffs, and that might not be the best situation. Like, signing Miles Turner, it makes them better, but they're not a contender now. They're still just kind of a middle of the pack team in the East. So I think that is a situation certainly to watch still.
Are you surprised with how the Sam Merrill and Ty Jerome situation unfolded in free agency for Cleveland?
You know, I wasn't surprised they brought back Sam and didn't bring back Ty. I was surprised Sam got paid more than Ty, as I think everybody here probably was, and I think most people watching and listening certainly were. But I also think with the Ty situation, while the Cavs, could they have offered him that money? Yeah, I don't know if they did or not. But I also think that the other way to look at this is Memphis can offer Ty something that the Cavs couldn't, and that's the opportunity, right? Like, Ty here was not going to be able to play more than 20 minutes a game. Like, that is just what his role was going to be in Memphis. He might not be a starter, but he's going to play, I would guess, more than what he played in Cleveland. He's going to have an opportunity. And two, this is a shorter contract for him, for somebody who really hasn't gotten paid like that in the NBA. He's going to be able to go out and have the opportunity to maybe have 2 good years in Memphis and hit free agency again while he's still in his prime. And I think that's a big deal for him too. So I look at this as more about the opportunity that the Cavs couldn't offer rather than the money that I think they could have offered. I think there's a legitimate discussion about whether they should have tried to give that money to him as opposed to Sam Merrill. But I also think that if you watch what they're doing this offseason, they're prioritizing two-way players, guys that can't necessarily be played off the floor, because Ty is not a good defender. And we all think of that Indiana series as, well, he just missed every shot that he took, and he did. But the bigger reason he couldn't play in that series is whenever he was on the floor, the Pacers were just attacking him. And Isaac Okoro, teams just were never going to defend. We have seen him in 5 postseason series. How many of those 5 teams that the Cavs played defended him seriously? None of them, right? So that they've basically traded, I think, 2 one-way guys and Sam Merrill, of course, is not a trade, like he was already here, but with 2 guys that they feel can play on both ends of the floor. And I think that's kind of the way to look at this.
So when you look at, obviously, the trade for Lonzo Ball, and you talk about how Ty Jerome only had the 20 minutes, do you think a healthy Lonzo, that's a big thing,
right,
can he be more effective than what Ty Jerome was? And do you think he has that same 20 minutes spurt?
So I think given like his health issues in the past, 20 minutes is probably about where you would want Lonzo Ball, right? Yeah. Like, you don't want to wear him down, because if he's ready to go in the playoffs, that would be a really good thing for the Cavs. The way I look at this is what you define as effective, I think, changes a little bit. He's not going to be the scorer that Ty was. Like, Ty was just a microwave that came off the bench and was able to light it up against backups, and that was something that I'm going to guess none of the four of us expected to happen before the season started last year. Like, that just all came out of nowhere, right? Lonzo's not going to be that. But the other thing that I look at with that acquisition is for the Cavs to get to where they want to go to next year. Like, if we are talking about 12 months from now, the Cavs as either NBA champions or a team that went to the finals, we're probably also talking about how Evan Mobley was the best player on the team.
Yep.
And I think that the one thing that Lonzo can do that Ty didn't necessarily do is I think he'll make Evan Mobley better. I think he is somebody that when those two are on the floor together, and there were a lot of lineups that had Ty and Donovan and Evan in them, if you put Lonzo Ball in them, I think that's going to put more on the plate of Evan Mobley, but I think it's going to make him be a better offensive player in a way that he needs to be for this team to get to where they want to go.
He needs those opportunities. And that, I don't want to say encouragement, but Ty took a bunch of shots.
He did.
And he shot efficiently last year. It wasn't a bad thing, but a guy like Lonzo who is a pass first, play make first, everyone else eats before I eat kind of player into those lineups. And it's going to force feed Evan to be a little more aggressive and be a little more assertive and open up some more playmaking opportunities for him in those same lineups that should, and once again should if Lonzo's healthy, because that's a giant if he's played 70 games in 4 years total, have plenty of spacing for him to operate as the primary big as well.
And the other thing, I mean, you know this, you've been around a lot. Like, Kenny Atkinson talks all the time about wanting this team to play with a lot of pace, right? Well, when you think of Lonzo Ball, that is what you think of. You think about getting up the floor and going. Not to say Ty didn't do that at times, but that wasn't Ty's game. Like, I think Ty was so effective because he played at a slower pace than it felt like anybody else in the league was capable of playing at times in the way that he got into the paint. So I do think that this is something that maybe stylistically is going to fit what Kenny Atkinson wants to do. Like, we hear so often Kenny talks about how much he loves Sam Merrill. I would bet that we're going to hear him say a lot of really positive things about a healthy Lonzo Ball if that's the case.
What are they going to do? What do you think their approach is to this next year? You look at the fact that, you know, you win all those games. They've been a good regular season team. Donovan alluded to it at the end of the season, like, y'all going to be on us all year. How do you think they respond? Because right now, the energy from the fans is like, yeah, you better prove it. Like, we're not trying to hear none of that. Like, and that could be a little, it could be a little different because when you're on the other side of it and the fans, it's like, oh, this is a great, love them. We even talked about, hey, we don't even want LeBron back. This team, we love the way, and now it's like, it's a different point of view. Like, nah, you're not going to fool us again. You have to show us.
Right, so I look at this as like last year, in my opinion, was the most fun regular season team the Cavs have had probably since the 08-09 team that won 66 games. That was LeBron's second to last year in Cleveland in the first stint. This next year is not going to be like that. Like, this is going to be they're going to have big wins. They're going to go through stretches where they're going to lose 4 in a row again like they did last year. But every big win that they have, it's going to be like, oh, well, we need to see it in May, right? We need to see it. This team do this in the second round of the playoffs, in the conference finals, in the finals. And the Cavs, I do think, understand that. As you mentioned, Donovan Mitchell spoke about that an hour after they were eliminated to the Pacers. They are going to be
too.
At length, yes, very passionately as well. They're a team that they have to go out and prove it in the playoffs. There's not a thing that they can do in the regular season that you look at and just say, yeah, we really believe in the Cavs because they did this in March. That's just not going to be a thing that happens. They're going to have to do this in April, which they've done. They've gotten out of the first round. There are no issues there. But they're going to have to do it in May and June. And I think they're capable of doing it in May and June, but until they prove that they can get out of the second round, I think there are going to be questions about whether or not they can.
When you look at this, all the moves that they've made, and you look at this current roster, where do you think they can go to keep improving it?
So I do think, and I know you guys were talking about this earlier, I do think they need to add a little bit more size, like a third big. I don't know if Tristan Thompson's going to be back or not. I would imagine if he wants to play, which it sounded like he does at his end of season availability, I would imagine that there will be a spot for him. But I wonder if Larry Nance Jr. could be available as somebody that could be a third big. I do think that Atlanta trading for Kristaps Porzingis probably complicated his situation a little bit. But when you get to that, the Cavs can only offer guys like that a minimum salary. Yeah. And once you are a minimum contract guy, it's really difficult to stop being a minimum contract guy. And guys don't want to be minimum contract guys. So I do think that we'll kind of have to wait for them to get to that point in free agency to a lot of the money is dried up, and then that's when the Cavs can start kind of, making waves in that area. Maybe there's a trade out there. I don't know. I think they should be listening on Jared Allen. I don't know what offers for him would be, but that is the one guy that I look at and say I'm not so sure that he is a guy that you necessarily need to have in May and June, the way that you could reallocate some of that money elsewhere. But I think those are really the ways they could get better. But I also think that we kind of lose sight of just how good this team was, too. They won 64 games. The playoffs didn't go as imagined, obviously. But I don't think that they need to get a lot better, because while there are other teams in the East that have gotten better, there's not a team I look at in the Eastern Conference and go, they are better right now than the Cavs. There's not a team that I say that about.
I was going to actually kind of ask what you just mentioned. FanDuel updated its Eastern Conference odds this morning. The Knicks have surpassed Cleveland as the favorite at plus
I think
280.
that flipped again during this show, actually, because I looked right before I came in. I think the Cavs are favored.
Maybe this flipped again.
Because I checked this morning, too. The Cavs were favored yesterday. Mm-hmm. I checked this morning, it was the Knicks, and then before I came in, I checked again, it was the Cavs, I think.
Despite the fact FanDuel is the #1 official sportsbook of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, use promo code FanDuel.com/UCSS. I did not look at FanDuel during the show, so if it did flip, they're close enough that I guess it's a toss-up. Jason Lloyd has said and continued to say, the playoffs were a historic collapse, but it's only a historic collapse because of how good they were in the regular season. Mm-hmm. Losing the second round is losing the second round. It happens to one seeds more frequently than I think a lot of us want to admit. The Thunder lost in the second round to the Mavericks last year. Go on, they make a slight trade, Giddey for Caruso, sign Hartenstein, win a championship. Do you think the overreaction, let me rephrase that. Do you think the reaction to the playoff loss has been an overreaction considering how good and successful they were in the regular season, or because it's kind of the same story we've seen in back-to-back postseasons now?
How many backs was that?
3 backs.
Okay.
There is a little more validity to the criticism they're facing.
So I think you have to be able to separate it, first of all, from the previous postseasons, because I look at what happened in this postseason where they lose in the second round in 5 games, and it's the same results as what happened the year before, but that team was never going to beat the Boston Celtics. They were not nearly as good as that Celtics team, right? So I don't think it's fair to blame them for not getting past the team that won the title that year when that team was basically what the Cavs were this year. I think calling this postseason a complete failure is absolutely fair and true because that's what it was. But I also look at this, and we made a big thing immediately after it ended, that injuries can't be an excuse. Injuries can't be an excuse. And to give the Cavs credit, not once did anyone that spoke make the injuries an excuse. But then when you start to think about it, it's like, okay, well, Donovan was playing through that calf injury that I thought was pretty apparent watching him play. Darius needed to have surgery 5 weeks afterwards because he still wasn't healthy. Evan Mobley was in a walking boot during the series. Their 3 best players, whether we want to admit it or not, were all kind of playing on one leg at certain points. And they're, again, no excuse. The Pacers outplayed them. The Pacers did everything I expected the Cavs to do in that series. The Pacers did it better. But I also think that you have to look at this and say, okay, did this team lose because they weren't good enough, or did this team lose because they were unhealthy at the wrong time? And the answer is probably somewhere in the middle. But I do think that we lean to just, they weren't good enough. And I know that there's a pretty significant section of the fan base that wants to trade Darius Garland. I just would not be in that area right now if I'm the Cavs. I think that he's got a lot of room to grow still.
Same.
So I do think that it has been a bit of an overreaction because just about everything that could have gone wrong for them went wrong for them at the wrong time. After a season where, for the most part, from October until April, basically nothing went wrong, and that's why they won 64 games.
And Indiana also played out of its mind the entire postseason and took Oklahoma City to a Game 7 in a way I don't think anyone could have anticipated. When the playoffs started, if I had told any of you guys, we're going to get a Game 7 Thunder-Pacers finals, you would have laughed me up. And rightfully so.
You said Thunder and 6.
That's why they played the game.
Thunder.
Now, I would agree with that, except for the fact that I have the Knicks series the previous year.
Oh, my God.
So, if you would tell me the Celtics, yes, the Celtics were favored in that. But the Cavs this year were favored in this series. They had some injury issues, right? But then you go back to the Knicks series, the first year, they just got beat up and bullied and pushed around. Now, my thing is this. I would love to say that the Cavs are a better team, and at points in time they were. But these teams right now are getting better. We talk about the jump that the Cavs are going to get. Now, I think we believe Evan Mobley is going to take a jump. But when you got Paolo Banchero, and Wagner. I like what they did. I like them going to get banged. I like the fact that they've done some things. Now they got a defensive team that can really play physical and do some things. I like the Knicks roster. They just got Jordan Clarkson. Mikey points out that they don't have a coach. That's a thing too.
Does matter.
That kind of matters.
It is valid.
But do you believe the Cavs, long story short, the Cavs can, as constituted, if they didn't do no more changes, no nothing, you could see them in the finals next year?
Absolutely, yes. I like what the Magic have done a lot too, and I know they signed Tyus Jones earlier this morning or last night. I don't remember which, but I don't look at that. I look at what they have, and they have a lot of good guys, but they don't have anyone that can set them up. Like they have a lot of, and they don't have the shooting that you also I think need. Desmond Bane, a great shooter, but Banchero's not a 3-point shooter. Franz Wagner looks like he has forgotten how to shoot a basketball despite being really good still. Like it's crazy the hitch that his shot just developed. So I look at that and I think that you can, and you can do this with the Cavs too, but I think you can poke holes in every single roster of a contender in the Eastern Conference, whether it is New York, who, as you mentioned, does not have a coach, and it sounds like Mike Brown, old friend of ours, might be the head coach there for the Knicks. You can do it with Orlando. You can do it with Atlanta, and I really like the offseason that they have. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I think, is going to be awesome for them. If Jalen Johnson can stay healthy, he's going to be a star for them. Kristaps Porzingis, the 25 games that him and Trae Young play together are going to be great. He can't stay on the floor.
If you get 25.
Right. But like you can poke holes in every single team that thinks they have a chance to win the East. You can poke holes in their roster. Like if you want to talk about Milwaukee, if you want to talk about Detroit, all of these teams, none of them are flawless. I think on paper, and the games are played on hardwood, not paper, and I understand that. But on paper, I think the Cavs have the most complete team in the Eastern Conference right now.
Let me ask you this. What is your starting lineup for the Cavs next year? I'm asking for G. Bush.
I would.
Got you, bro.
With the roster constituted as is, or are we talking about?
Right.
Okay. I would have DeAndre Hunter in the starting lineup.
Thank God! Some Cavs folks, thank you, Mr. Cunningham.
That is the direction.
You're now on the Christmas list. You didn't even know it. You didn't even know it.
That's the direction I would go. I think that they have, from the time LeBron left until they acquired DeAndre Hunter, they were looking for DeAndre Hunter. They had not had a 6'8" wing that can shoot, that can kind of be an isolation player, that can defend, that can do everything that he can do. And I do understand why they didn't have him in the starting lineup last year. I think it's really hard to sort of assimilate yourself into a team in the middle of the season, especially from when you go in a situation like Atlanta where they're fighting to be a play-in team to now your whole life gets turned upside down in about 48 hours or so, and you are now, okay, we have to go win a championship. Like, that's a big shift.
Yeah.
And trying to learn all that and be in the starting lineup, I think, is a really tough ask. But I do think with a full offseason, with a full training camp, that is where I think it makes more sense. I don't know if that's what the Cavs are going to do. I bet the Cavs don't know right now if that's what they're going to do, and they don't have to because it's July 1st and they don't play a basketball game for a while. But if I were Kenny Atkinson, that's the direction that I would go with their starting lineup.
I actually agree with him, by the way.
You have said that.
I told you before.
He just wants to be on the Christmas list.
I've been taken off and put back on the Christmas about 50 times since the show started. But speaking of the bench, Danny, we kind of talked about this earlier in the show with losing Ty Jerome. The Cavs are now betting on a lot of internal development from guys, and when you look at the bench, they don't have a ton of playmakers on the bench. I mean, Lonzo, when healthy, giant if. Craig Porter Jr., not a shooter. Good ball handler, good creator. You're hoping Merrill can maybe add something to, there's a depth chart. You're hoping Proctor can go from second-round pick to contributor. You're hoping Jalen Tyson can take that next step forward. But outside of Donovan and Darius, in the backcourt 2-3 wing, grouping, there's not a lot of proven playmakers. And I do think that is a little bit of a concern now, where you'll probably miss Ty Jerome the most in this situation. Where do you see them making up for that lack of creation that Ty did provide, even if he had some shortcomings as well?
Even if it was mostly creation for himself, because I do think that's part of it. I actually think they missed a lot of what George Niang and Karis LeVert provided in terms of playmaking for other guys. Like, they were ball movers in a way that DeAndre Hunter wasn't, and I don't think Ty Jerome was. This for me, almost everything with this team is going to get back to Evan Mobley. So I look at what he needs to do this offseason. I think he needs to tighten his handle because I think he needs to be able to go get himself a bucket a little bit easier. And if he does that, I think his playmaking, which he is a good passer, and he's been a good passer even if his assist numbers don't necessarily show, but he's been a good passer since he came into the league. I think if he tightens up that handle, if he's somebody that you can give the ball to and let him go create for himself and others in ways that we haven't necessarily seen him do often enough so far in his career in Cleveland, I think that's where that next step could go. Because if you think about where the Cavs were at in terms of their rotation, like him and Donovan would check out first and then they would play in that second unit. That's where I think you could get some of that more creation. Lonzo Ball be on the floor too. Like that, I think he brings more creation if he's healthy, which again is the biggest if for this Cavs team because of his injury history.
3,000 times.
I said it on my podcast. I felt like in a 30-minute podcast, I felt like I said it 35 times the other day. But if he's out there, he's a better creator than anybody on this roster other than Darius Garland. And I think he's a much better creator, not for himself, but for others than what Ty Jerome was.
Yeah, to me, I looked at the jump. Now, I will say, his jump, if you look at his numbers, the numbers ain't crazy different from last year to the year before. I look at the bigs, and I be talking about it all the time. Like, I want to see the 25. I need about 25 and 11.
From?
Mobley.
Oh.
We talked about it. LaMarcus Aldridge gave me them points. Vin Baker, give me Chris Webber. I need somebody.
David West.
David Weston gave me 22, 20.
Those are empty teams, like empty calories.
I didn't think I'd hear Vin Baker.
Vin Baker.
You never know what you're getting.
You never know. Listen, if you get, I mean, Chris Gatling had a couple good years. Bro.
I didn't think I'd hear that one either.
Had a couple good years. I need him to be like you said. I need him to develop a pet shot. What is your money maker? What is it going to be? Is it going to be a jump hook left, jump hook right? Is it going to be a fadeaway on the block? What is it going to be? Something where you say, oh, Mobley got it in the spot. When they say get to your spot, what is Mobley's spot?
That elbow.
It's a fair question. Do you think we have an answer right now?
I don't think we have an answer right now. I think he likes to have the ball in certain spots, but I don't think the left elbow is one that certainly comes to mind. But when he gets the ball there, I don't think you necessarily know, okay, he's going to two-dribble left jumper or get to the basket. Like I think is doing different things from that one spot. But the other thing with Ty Jerome leaving that I think about, like if he's going to get to 25 points a game, he's probably going to need more shots than he took last year. And Ty leaving and being replaced with Lonzo, who Lonzo is not going to take the same volume of attempts that Ty did. Some of those shots can go to Evan, and that is part of the way that can get up there, because I do agree with you. I think that when he's at his best, he is aggressive. I just think that there need to be more times where he is aggressive, right? Like we have seen him have these big games in certain spots, and we saw it in the playoffs 2 years ago against Boston where he was awesome in that series, even though the Cavs were very much inferior to what the Celtics were at that time. But he was aggressive, and that's what we need to see more of from Evan.
Caitlin Clark, not the Caitlin Clark, the basketball player, the Caitlin Clark who covers Caitlin Cooper, covers the Pacers. Caitlin Cooper does a great job covering the Pacers. Did a breakdown of when Tyrese Halliburton made his first shot, missed his first shot.
It's crazy, his number
difference.
difference.
Do you have any idea, and I literally was thinking about this as you were talking, does Mobley, do you think, follow a similar split to that? To where his aggressiveness, if he makes his first shot, and I go back to like that Charlotte game where he had all those threes, where if he hits one early, if like something in his head just clicks, and I could do the research and start looking.
I have no idea, but now I feel like I'm going to have to look into it. Like I feel like that's going to be the rest of my week now, is I'm going to have to just go back and look at all of Evan Mobley's game logs to see what he did with his first shot attempt. But I know exactly the story that Caitlin wrote that you're talking about. It's a great piece of investigative journalism, we'll call it. But like I could see that being the case with Evan, and part of it too. I guess the difference between that with Halliburton and that with Evan is Halliburton has the ball in his hand so much more. So sometimes with Evan, it's not always his fault. Now, you can always put at least a little bit of blame on him for not being aggressive enough and getting the basketball. But as I mentioned, with him needing to tighten up his handle, until he does that, he's going to need somebody to get him the basketball more frequently than Tyrese Halliburton does. So that's why I think it's a little apples to oranges, but I do like that thought process.
You got one more? We got time for two more. I got one last
one. No, go ahead.
Tyrese Proctor, the Cavs' second-round pick in last week's draft, falls to 49. I don't think a lot of us expected him to be there at 49. Ends up coming to Cleveland. I know you had reported that he may have been telling teams, got to stay away.
He was definitely telling teams to stay away. Don't draft me.
How do you think he fits
Tyrese Proctor was doing that?
Yes. I think that this is...
What?
Yes.
The Cavs had a fully guaranteed roster
multi-year
spot.
roster spot. He's going to be on the real roster because so many guys after I don't know if it's like 42, 43, 44, 45, but like in that range, they start to get two-way contracts. And guys don't want to be on two-way contracts. And the Cavs have the second round exception as a way they can spend money as a second apron team. And they had a roster spot for a second round pick building this team. And they like Tyrese Proctor. And I don't know where he would have gone, but I do know that his people told teams, do not draft us. But they had something figured out. Obviously, it was with the Cavs. I don't know how many teams they told, but I do know they told teams that because I don't think he would have fallen to 49 had it not been for that. And we don't know what he's going to be, but I do think that is a smooth way of maneuvering, and I think that this might be a problem with now the draft being 2 days in the NBA because teams have 18 hours between the end of the first round and the start of the second round to work out a lot of this stuff. And they didn't have that before, so I wonder how that has changed things.
We got one more. Now, you're already on the Christmas list. Don't press it. Now, we be laughing all the time. Will Imani Bates stick somewhere in the league? I've had it. Mike, we talked about it. I say, bro, he plays for the Cavs. It's hard to find minutes. But if you play for the Hornets, or you play for the Kings, or you get with the right place where they can let him learn, figure it out, get in the rotation possibly, does he stick, or do you see him playing overseas?
I mean, it was about 10 minutes being on the Christmas list. I'm guessing I'm going to be off now because no. I don't think that he is, and I like Imani. I thought he had a lot of upside coming out of the draft. I think he's a really good shooter, but that's all he is a really good shooter. He's not, to me, in watching him, and I've watched him in person several times between Summer League, going to charge games, all that stuff. He's not athletic enough to play in the NBA. He's not an explosive enough athlete to be in the league, and he's not a good defender. He's got shorter arms. He's a really good shooter, but that's really all that he provides, and he is not good enough at that one skill to be somebody that's worth having on a full NBA contract. I wouldn't be shocked if he's somewhere else in Summer League. It's not going to be with the Cavs. I wouldn't be shocked if he's on a Summer League team. Wouldn't be stunned if he gets another two-way, but I think more likely than not, his basketball future is playing in a league that's not the NBA.
And making a ton of money overseas. That is Danny Cunningham from the Locked On Cavs podcast. Daily, correct, Danny?
Every day.
Every day. If you want 30 minutes of Cavs content outside of UCSS, you should be listening to Danny on the Locked On Cavs. He's going to stick around for Super Chats because we don't have anyone to take him out. So, Ant, we got Super Chats for today's show.
Yeah, we got 5 Super Chats real quick, guys. First one from Dragon the Abandoner. I don't see the issue with 4 helping the rookies. Deshaun has always been considered a good whiteboard guy, so he has something to offer the rookies.
He is definitely really good at
he knows the game.
When he was with Houston, that was like some of the highlights is when after the game they would ask him a question. He literally break down the whole thing and why he did what he did. So his knowledge of the game is definitely there.
Next one, Ant.
Next one from Drama City TV Clee. Clint Capella, 21 mil, 3 years to Houston. Why couldn't Kobe Altman go get him? Jared Allen, Mr. Softy, needs a real backup.
Danny, you want to explain why 3 for 21 is not possible for the Cavs? They don't listen to me when I say it, so maybe
the Cavs are not allowed to spend that money on an outside free agent. If the Cavs wanted to sign Clint Capella, it would have been a 1-year deal worth $3.6 million because that is the veteran minimum, I believe, for somebody of his service time. Maybe it would have been a little bit less than that. I'm not entirely sure how many years of service he has, but that is not a possible move for the Cavs. And also, I kind of think Clint Capella is just washed, so I don't know that it's worth being up in arms over.
If the Cavs don't win it all this year, are they going to get under the second apron?
I think that is a discussion to be had. I don't think there's been a decision one way or the other there. I think it is far too early to guess about that.
And next one.
Yeah, drama added on of who's the worst GM, Kobe Altman or Andrew Berry, and then why don't we talk about Jared Allen development?
AB, and it's not close.
Yeah, it's not close. It's AB. and Jared Allen is who Jared Allen is.
Listen, the Cavs, Kobe's not perfect. No GM. He just put together a roster that won 64 regular season games and has been in the playoffs each of the last 3 years.
Who's worse? That's wild.
Yeah, that's
an insane question.
That's wild, bro.
Like, it's not even close.
I mean, even then, Kobe traded for a superstar and got him to commit to being in Cleveland.
Right.
Like, that alone is.
I mean, look at the 2 superstar trades these GMs have made.
Pretty different outcomes.
Donovan Mitchell and Deshaun Watson. How have those panned out? All right, Ant, 2 more.
From Armac Dog, I think Mary Kay tries to destroy Watson's credibility because whenever she writes about him, she mentions those sexual allegations. That has nothing to do with it, him returning to football practice.
Next one.
Last one is from Chef Brian. Games, it took 3+ years to find out Baker wasn't the guy.
Yeah,
No,
that's
4.
fair.
It took like 4.
That's fair.
It took a long time.
We've all had
very
our
fair.
Baker opinions heard on this platform. Danny, where do you fall on the Baker Mayfield discourse?
I think that at a certain point it was never going to work out in Cleveland. And I'm happy that Baker has turned into who Baker has turned into. I think it's an awesome story. But I think it gets glossed over that, yeah, the Browns gave up on him because of, I think, a lot of different things. And I think Baker needed to grow up. And I think that the Browns giving up on him, and then the Panthers giving up on him, and then the Rams giving up on him probably forced him to grow up in a way that made him who he is today. And had those things not happened, I don't think that we would be talking about Baker Mayfield being who Baker Mayfield is. I'm happy he has become a really good quarterback, but I think once we got to a certain point, it was not going to happen here.
I forgot he played that 3-week stretch with the Rams and had that awesome. Was it Monday night or Thursday?
Thursday
night game.
Is this the hardest city to play quarterback in?
Chicago might be.
Chicago.
I think it's top. I think top 5.
I was on a Chicago podcast yesterday talking about the Lonzo Ball, Isaac Okoro trade, and at the end I'm just like, we got the quarterback position in common, man. We got it down. We both have it. We're in the same spot there.
All right, well, that was Danny Cunningham, who joined us for a Cavs topic and Super Chats. Once again, you can find Danny on the Locked On Cavs podcast and on Twitter. It's at Real Danny Cunningham.
Real D Cunningham.
Real D Cunningham. Make sure you follow him. We'll see you guys in about 5 minutes for overtime. It's going to wrap it up for this edition of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Peace.
John.